What is up, everybody? How is it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing today? How you guys feeling? We're just gonna give a little bit of time for people to stroll in. Let me start saying what's up to everybody that's here. Tammy, long time no see. How you doing? Tipsy Gypsy, I see you in the building. Leah, how's it going? We're streaming on, I think we're streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and Kick, you guys. Well, it says that Kick is having a problem, so we're not live on Kick. Oh well. If we're not live on Kick, then that's okay. But if you guys are on Twitch as well, you can follow us there, Flojo TV. We're gonna start streaming on as many platforms as we can, you guys. How's everybody doing? Leah's here, and then I rock. How you doing? Jad, I see Viking Woman. Gold Digger, how are you? Nene's here. Mac Dizzle. The Boss Bish, how you doing? Like number one, my favorite content creator. Thank you so much. The Boss Bish, how are you doing? Dear Lord, you can't seem to stay out of trouble. I hope you're okay. We heard some sad news earlier, but I hope that you're doing well. Ash Bash, welcome back. Hey fam, we'll have to catch this one on the replay. We wanted to say hi. That's okay. That's totally okay. I feel like I just haven't been on in such a long time. Nene, you're in the vertical view, so just in case you don't like the view, you can always switch over to the landscape. For anybody who's watching in landscape mode, in case y'all don't like it. Satire Wolf, how's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, you guys. Yeah, I mean, you guys already saw the thumbnail. I'm assuming. Arizona, welcome, 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 welcome. Oh, you guys, it feels so good to be on. I feel like I haven't seen my inner circle family in a long time, and I haven't been on Discord in a minute because work has been just so busy. We're working on getting our approval from California Department of Public Health. We got some good news today, so we're finally getting approved. Yeah, everybody. Put some prayer hands in the chat for the Boss Bish. Hope that she's doing okay. I hope you're doing well, the Boss Bish. And thank you for being here. You should, honestly, you shouldn't even be here. You should be resting, catching up on some rest and getting some much needed rest. But anyways, you guys, we're gonna jump right into it. So many of you guys have probably already seen the interview that Nancy Guthrie's daughter Savannah Guthrie has put out on the Today Show, and so I just wanted to kind of watch it with you guys. And if you guys have seen this a million times, you guys are more than welcome to just leave and come back in a few minutes. But I do want to watch this and get everybody's reaction. Mac Dizzleson said yes to merch. And just FYI, you guys, I was reading up and they said that they recommend that we start issuing goals during our live chats for support on the channel. This is some of the things that YouTube recommends that content creators like myself do when we do lives, but you guys, they're just there as goals. We don't have to reach them. But it would be nice, right? So maybe we can consider, what is that in your photo, Mac Dizzleson? What is that? A Nutter Butter and is that ketchup? Dear Lord, what's going on? So, okay, you guys, I have to ask you guys, because I've seen that there is a part 1 and a part 2 of the interview with Savannah Guthrie. Are both of them worth watching, or is there one that's better than the other? I need you guys to let me know because I have yet to see it. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces in some other people's lives. I've seen a few clips on X, but I can't tell you which one is which. Goals are good, right, Gold Digger? Goals are great. The Japanese no-bake Biscoff. That's what it is. Oh, okay, okay. I thought that was like a Nutter Butter or something. Damn. It just shows you that I'm hungry. Anyways, you guys, let me go ahead and pull this up. So what, let me ask you guys though, is there one that's better than the other, or are both of them must watch? Because I wanna dive into this, and I want to kind of pick apart some of the things that we've heard. That sheriff really dropped the ball on the Nancy case. Yeah, you know, I've heard so many people say that, and I can't disagree with anybody that I've heard say that. Oh, hold on one second. Boss Bitch said that she sent a $20 super sticker. Girl, why are you sending super stickers? You should be resting. Save that energy. But anyways, again, thank you to Boss Bitch for that $20 super sticker. Wow. $20 generous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, you guys. Let me get back to the comments. Let me see. Let me see. Ramona's here. Good evening. Good evening. So you guys tell me, is part 1 or part 2 the better of the two, or do we just watch both? Because I have the first one lined up right over here. We just got to share it. You're washing dishes, but listening. Well, I'm glad you have a few seconds to chat and show your love in the comments. So I do appreciate that. I know. Oh, you can't see anything on Twitch? Can you even see this at all? Watch both. Tipsy said watch both. Okay, okay, we'll definitely do that. All right, you guys. Well, I have part 1 lined up right over here. So let's just get right into it. Maybe just one. Okay. So part 2 doesn't really have anything interesting. Gold Digger says both. Oh, hold on one second. Boss Bitch, are you cool with me pulling up these comments on the live? Said, thank you all. I'm not diabetic, but my blood sugar dropped low to 20, and I'm not sure why. If you're not diabetic and it dropped that low, I'm just glad to hear that you're alive, because 20 is something that's really, really urgent and concerning, because it's not very rare, but it's very difficult when you have a blood sugar that drops all the way down to 20. It's harder to bring somebody's blood sugar up when it's low than it is to bring somebody's blood sugar down using insulin, right? So it's extremely low. And to be honest with you, a blood sugar of 20 is almost life-threatening. So we're glad that you've mustered up enough energy to join our lives. And again, I recommend you should be getting your rest, but please make sure that you take care of yourself, because your recovery is more important than watching these lives. So if you need to step away and take care of yourself, the Boss Bitch, please make sure you do that. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get started with part 1.
Take me back to the day. It was, I guess, a normal weekend for you.
Yeah.
The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
Well, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys' trip to go play tennis. And so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. So we had a beautiful, fun night together. And then I came home.
Okay, so I'm assuming that they're recapping the weekend of what, January 31st and February 1st. And she just say that she owed her family a Christmas gift. So she sent them out.
And really, it just got home at the same time that Mike came home. And we were just saying hi, putting down our stuff, and the kids were running around. And my sister called me, and I said, "Is everything okay?" Mm-hmm. And she said, "No." She said, "Mom's missing." And I said, "What? Yeah. What are you talking about?" She said, "She's gone." And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, "Call 911." Yeah. She's like, "I did. We've called them. They're here." And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open.
1 second, hold on. I need to go back and listen to something really quick, because I have some questions.
Panic. I'm like, "Call 911. Yeah. She's like, "I did. We've called them. They're here." And we thought.
So 911's already there at the house by the time they make Annie and Tommaso, right? I'm assuming Annie and Tommaso are the ones that make the call.
that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, you know, the paramedics had
Thank you for becoming a member of the Inner Circle. Welcome to the Inner Circle, and then I rock. Good to have you.
come because the back doors were propped open, you know, and that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back.
Again, you guys, in case you guys are watching in the vertical view, if you guys don't like it, we do have the landscape view. So in case you don't see some of the chats that are coming in, you might want to make sure that you switch on over to the correct, whichever view of your choice you like. So we're streaming on both.
But her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things. And it just didn't make any sense. So
This part,
and that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back. But her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things. And it just didn't make any sense. So, you know, Annie.
that is correct. The Secret Shay, they do, I believe they live, like 10 minutes away, maybe 6 or 7 miles away, if I'm not mistaken. If this is what I remember from covering this case very early on, and I've taken a break from covering this case because, to be honest with you, this case has been so frustrating, and nothing new has come out since like the second press conference.
And Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time. And it was just chaos and disbelief.
Within hours, Savannah was making the long journey home to Tucson.
You saw Annie and Cam when you got to their house. Tell me about.
Does anybody know? Do we know where Cam, the brother, lives? Do we know if Cameron lives in Tucson as well? Because by the time Nancy arrives to the house, Cameron's already there.
That moment.
Just disbelief and hugging each other. And I think we were on the phone with the sheriff and trying to, you know, really make clear from the very early moments, you know, Annie and Tommy were saying, this isn't that case that you are used to where someone wanders off. She can't wander off. My mom, she was in tremendous pain. Her back was very bad. You know, she was trying to, on a good.
I don't know if we've heard this before, that her mother was also in a lot of pain. We know that, you know, she had a pacemaker. She potentially may have had some heart issues. Mobility issues is something that we've known for a long time already. And then that she could barely walk 50 yards, which is 150 feet. But the pain, I don't know if we've heard that before. And shout out to the Boss Bitch for gifting 5 memberships. If you received the gifted membership, please make sure you thank the Boss Bitch in the chat. I see a few of active members in the chat have received the gifted membership. So please make sure you send some hearts in the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my Lord. The Boss Bitch also sent a $50 Cash App donation, so thank you. And everybody who received the gifted membership, welcome to the Inner Circle. Ah, look at all those names. They do look good and green.
Day she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not. So there was no wander off. And the doors were propped open.
Yeah.
And there was blood on the front doorstep. And the Ring camera had been yanked off.
Yeah.
Yanked out.
And so we were saying, this is
Do something.
this is not
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
This isn't, something is very wrong here.
Yeah. Did you guys talk about what possibly could have happened? Like, what could have happened? What went down? Did you?
I think my brother, my siblings are so amazing. My brother, you know, he spent his career in the military and worked in intelligence and fighter.
Is that this? Oh, this is Nancy in the plane. So he's the pilot. I didn't even realize this was Nancy in this photo. It obviously makes sense though.
Pilot and is brilliant.
He was a fighter pilot?
And is a fighter pilot and is brilliant. And he saw very clearly right away what this was.
Yeah.
And even on the phone,
Hmm.
when I called him, he knew.
He knew.
And he said, I think she's been kidnapped for ransom. And I said,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Oh my God. How you guys feeling about this interview, you guys? I haven't, I mean, I've seen parts and little bits and pieces, but now that I'm watching this like firsthand for the first time, I'm not really getting good vibes from this.
Well, why? What? And then, I mean, it sounds so.
Because the way that Savannah's talking about the conversation that she's having with Cameron, she makes it seem like he is so 100% certain that this was absolutely a kidnapping for ransom, right? Because, I mean, this is what she said. Is this another $5 super chat? Dear Lord, the boss bitch, what do you do? Girl, you need some rest. I don't know if your blood sugar's got you feeling some type of way, but thank you. I hope you're doing okay though.
Like, how dumb could I be? But I didn't want to believe. I just said, do you think because of me? And he said, I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe.
Again, just to kind of go back on the conversation that her and Cameron had, I find it really just odd for him to immediately suspect that this is a kidnapping for ransom, right? And then the whole the guilt of fame, you can call it, right?
But I knew that.
You did.
I hope not. I mean, we still don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, we don't know anything.
No.
We don't know anything.
They don't know anything. And I wonder, this case is really frustrating. Type of one in the chat if you guys are just like frustrated with this whole entire case and it makes it hard for you guys to follow it. Because that's exactly how I felt like the past 2 weeks. And of course, you know, we're counting the days. We're on what, day 54 of No Nancy? Cindy says, remember FloJo, she still knows more than she can say. Right? But she's absolutely not saying much here. She doesn't. I mean, I would like to assume, right? Obviously, we as the general public aren't owed anything. She doesn't need to tell us anything. And, you know, we're thankful that she's done this interview, right? But I mean, also, I don't know. Learning some of these things just makes it sound, I don't know, it just hard to believe, contradicting. I don't know. Satire Wolf, you're over it. Sydney Shea. Yeah, I mean, I just want some answers. And who am I to just scream and demand answers, right? But I mean, if you guys feel exactly how I do, it's like somebody fucked this case up, right? And whoever did needs to take accountability. And if they're not able to do what they need to do, I think they just kind of need to step aside and let the big boys come in and take over.
So I don't know
Yeah.
that it's because she's my mom and somebody thought, oh, that girl, that lady has money, we can make a quick buck. I mean, that would make sense, but we don't know. But yeah, that's probably, which is too much to bear. To think that I brought this to her bedside, that it's because of me. And
Shout out to the boss bitch again with another $5 super chat. Merch. I'm resting in a fabulous hospital bed. My blood sugar has been normal. 106 to 118. Love Flojo Mods and the Inner Circle family. Thank you so much, the boss bitch, for your $5 super chat. Girl, you need to get your rest. I'm going to put you on timeout so you can stop super chatting and get some rest and recover to 100%.
Just saying, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my sister and my brother and my kids and my nephew and Tommy and my brother-in-law. I'm like so sorry. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom.
In the initial days, you and your sister and brother sat together. In all the despair, you sat and managed to think of words to say. How were you able to do that in that moment?
Well, my siblings are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we are a unit. And I talked about how...
Wait, hold on. Really quick, you guys. I have to ask you guys because we're now a couple minutes into this. After she talked about Cameron being a fighter pilot, did she bring up anything or talk anything about Annie and or Tommaso? Did I miss that? Let me know if I missed that, because then we definitely have to go back and watch this. Tipsy Gypsy, thank you so much for your $10 super chat. You said, have heard that Savannah's husband worked for the Clintons. Was this a distraction from the Epstein file release? Can't imagine Savannah's guilt. You know, I've heard this on a few occasions too. And I mean, there's a lot of people in the public eye that have mentioned this before. And, you know, the fact that Savannah has interviewed some of the victims from the Epstein Island, right? And I can only imagine the guilt that she's feeling, imagining if this has anything to do with it. I'm sure this absolutely has to have crossed her mind, right? I mean, if she feels like she's responsible for it, I mean, could that have been a reason?
Brilliant my brother is, but my sister is equally brilliant and also has special powers of intuition and faith and language and depth and heart. And I feel like we came together with all these beautiful gifts that came from our mom and dad and from God. And somehow together we did our best to come up with the words to say. And I haven't posted one thing or said one thing that the three of us haven't decided together. It is surreal. It's, how is it possible that we are having to make a video speaking to a kidnapper who took an 84-year-old woman in the dead of night in her pajamas with no shoes, without her medicine, this little person, and to beg for mercy.
Did they? Okay, so she was taken from the darkness of night, right, in her bedroom. And now that we're learning, Savannah has said that her mother was taken in her pajamas with no shoes. Obviously, we haven't seen any of the video of the time when Nancy was removed from the house. So, I mean, there's a lot more information that she knows. And I'm wondering if, because there's been talks that there have been cameras inside the house as well. We haven't heard that publicly, but Savannah's saying that she was removed in her pajamas. So has she seen additional video of the cameras that were maybe inside the house, or has she seen video that law enforcement may have shown her that obviously the public hasn't seen just yet, right? And maybe we'll never see it. But I am curious, or did law enforcement kind of give her a little bit of information that's not going to be released?
Without her medicine.
No medicine, in her pajamas, and then no shoes, right? And so she's talking about the ransom, that ransom letter too. So I'm very curious if in this ransom letter that she supposedly received, or TMZ or the two other local news outlets received, I'm wondering if there's a possibility that in those ransom letters that the details that were provided point those things out, right? Like mentioning the fact that she was taken in her pajamas, and maybe if you look around the house, you'll see that they aren't there, or her favorite shoes, or no, she didn't have any shoes, right? So I mean, how would she just know this though? That's so.
This little person. And to beg for mercy.
In the days that followed, multiple notes demanding payment were sent to various media outlets.
The ransom notes or ransom.
And then Iraq, you still flirting with Nightbot, huh? Okay. All right. We'll let that one go. We'll let it go.
Requests came. Did you believe those to be real?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ghost of Bandera. I literally, it was my Discord sound going off, so I literally just turned it down. I actually restarted my computer before we went live, and so all the volumes kind of reset. So I do apologize for that. I did turn Discord off and muted the sound.
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real. And I didn't see them. But, you know, a person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you guys, we're a couple days removed from the very first day that she was abducted, which was February 1st. It is now March 26th. Type a 1 in the chat if you believe that the ransom notes, either ransom note number 1, 2, 3, or 4, could have been real. Type a 2 if you believe that this is just a red herring that has absolutely nothing to do. It's a distraction. They're fake. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. I'm curious what you guys think, even after a couple of days.
To a family in pain. But I believe the 2 notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
Really?
Mac, you say 1. You believe that there's a potential that it could be real. Okay.
When the Ring camera video surfaced,
No, you're good.
They
were
could see who that person.
Cindy made a new one. She said 3, I don't know. That's a good one, because honestly, I really don't know, right? TMZ received one, KVOA, and I don't know, what was the other? KOLD was the other local news station that received them. 0, and then Iraq said 0, 1, and 1 may have been real. Okay. That's crazy. The boss bitch says 1.5. So 50-50 or what? Secret Shade said she had walking issues, so I'm pretty sure they carried her out, especially after they hurt her because she was bleeding. And I wonder if she resisted and she got hit over the head, bled, and then carried. Man, I really don't know. And the crazy part is, though, right, is there's no tire tracks. There's no evidence of a car. People have even said that the perp had a walker or a wheelchair in his backpack. Outrageous, right? But those are some of the things that have been said about this perp who was carrying the backpack, that they had a wheelchair in the backpack, which absolutely makes no sense, because there's absolutely no way. And I've folded and used thousands of different wheelchairs. There is not a single wheelchair that is going to fit in that cheap ass Walmart backpack. So wheelchair, absolutely no possibility.
Was just tell me what you thought when you saw those images of the person who took your mother.
There's actually a lot of people who put one that believe that there's a possibility that the ransom notes were real. And I've seen more ones than I've seen two, which has been a little bit different over the past 54 days. I know a lot of people have said, these are fake. These are just people trying to just make a quick dollar. But today, we haven't done a poll like this since early on in the case. But now that the crowd has changed their mind.
I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
It's just totally terrifying.
That's a good point, Hope, right? Because if Savannah thinks that, then law enforcement probably thinks the same thing, and they have information that we don't have just yet. So that's a huge possibility. Obviously, the law enforcement is not going to lay out all of their cards. They're not going to publicize all of the evidence that they have. In fact, they've given us nothing but these videos that we've seen, right? And a whole botch of a job. I don't know. The way everything was processed, the way they carried out their press conferences, these multiple ransom notes, you even had a wackadoodle in California, right? The wackadoodle in California, Derek Colella, he made a phone call, right? He made a phone call to Annie and Tommaso. He didn't necessarily send them a note.
And I can't imagine that is who she saw standing over her bed.
Yeah.
I can't.
No shoes and no meds. And I do remember they were saying that and this is only stuff that I've heard because I haven't been able to find a source to actually say this, but they were saying that she missed her 10:30 or her 10 p.m. dose of medication. So that's how they knew that her medications weren't brought with her.
That's too much.
Yeah.
And I'm glad and grateful.
Oh, the bot just again sending 5 gifted memberships. Dear Lord. Who received the gifted membership, you guys? If you guys received the gifted membership, drop some hearts in the chat for the boss bitch. Oh, I see DJ See No Evil got one. Dogs Gang, Patty Cheeks, Samuel, and who else? Tall Red Texas. Welcome to the inner circle, you guys.
The investigators and the technology companies that were able to find that video. Do I hope, at least with people of good heart and compassion, stop the irresponsible and cruel.
Hope, you said, but the back door was propped open, but does that mean a second person brought something in from the back and needed to prop it open to get it in? And so this is also something that Ashley Banfield had claimed way at the beginning, right? Her source had mentioned that the back door was wide open. So I'm starting to wonder, is Ashley Banfield's source a legitimate source?
Speculation that had started to swirl.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm glad that people saw
Yeah.
what came to our door.
It was the second one, huh?
When you talk about the cruel speculation, the whispers, the innuendo that it was somebody in your family, how did you weather that?
It's unbearable.
Yeah.
And it piles pain upon pain. There are no words. There are no words. I don't understand. I'll never understand. And no one took better care of my mom than my sister and brother-in-law. And no one protected my mom more than my brother. And we love her, and she is our shining light. She's our matriarch. She's all we have.
Savannah and her family stayed together in Arizona for weeks as the media coverage grew more intense.
We had to move houses many times because people came and not everyone is respectful, unfortunately.
Wait, they had to move several times? What?
Many times because people came and not everyone is respectful, unfortunately. You know, there was a night we had to leave in the dark in the desert, holding hands, me and my sister and brother and I get into a car waiting for us to, because the people outside were closing in. So we found a place that was safe, and then we couldn't really leave too much. So like those days are a blur.
Yeah.
Crying and praying.
How did your family feel about the way the investigation was conducted?
Well, it's still going.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. That's not the answer that any of us want to hear. We really want to know. How you,
Conducted.
Well, it's still going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people have worked tirelessly. And we see that. But we need answers. We cannot be at peace without knowing. And someone can do the right thing. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And our hearts are focused on that.
I think where Savannah ended that, it's not too late to do the right thing, is really, I think, the intent from the beginning. I think she was a fantasy was that someone sees it, someone who saw someone who knows someone who will say something, because, you know, I think this is all about bringing Nancy
Well, it's still an
home.
open case where
Nene said, I believe the source is legit, but I don't believe the way she spilled the beans is, right? I know, I totally agree, right? But, I mean, she is just reporting the news, right? I'm sure the source was basically saying, like, don't say whatever you want, just don't drop my name. What do you guys think? To me, there were just so many things that were contradicting in this video. The boss bitch again, dear Lord.
Don DeMarco.
I had to drop a Don DeMarco for the boss bitch for another one. What is that? Like your 10th super chat? I don't know. Thank you so much, the boss bitch. Are you doing okay? Are you sure you're doing okay? That's a lot of super chats today, though. I appreciate it. Thank you. Mystical Magic, how you doing? Tara, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing? We're doing good. We're doing good. I know, Secret Shade. The hospital definitely is not going to stop the boss bitch. She said, hospital or not, I'm sending FloJo a super chat. Tara says an inside job. What's going on? Yo, somebody take the boss bitch's phone away from her, yo. Somebody take her phone away. Just gave another $5. I think we may have hit our goal already. I don't know. We might have to check. I think we may have hit our goal thanks to the boss bitch. Thank you so much. We may have hit our goal. So thank you so much. The entire family, Savannah, Tomato Soup, Annie. doesn't this whole situation just kind of make everything a little suspicious? You know what I found really weird, and I don't know if anybody mentioned it in the chat though, but when she was talking about Cameron, she had 0 mentions of Annie and Tommaso. Is that another super chat? Yo, what's going on here? Did somebody take the boss bitch's phone away? Somebody take her phone away, you guys. Somebody take it away. Thank you so much, the boss bitch. That's crazy. I know, right? We're gonna have to call the hospital and tell them to put some restraints on you. That's crazy. Tara said whoever took her was acquainted with that house. So they definitely were there, right? David is guilty. Yeah, we learned that a little earlier. But she said no hospital is gonna stop her.
54 days in, the bravery that she's showing in this interview is not to shine a light on herself, but to remind people that if you have anything to do with this, if you know anything,
Yes.
you firmly believe this.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and jump to part 2. Let's go ahead and jump to part 2. You want merch signed by Flojo? I guarantee you my signature costs 0. It ain't going to be worth anything, though.
In the present tense.
Yeah. I mean,
The boss bitch, the Secret Shade wants to know how many fingers they're holding up.
is present tense to me.
Do you feel her or have you heard her? Any moments?
Yeah, a little bit.
Tell me about your mommy. Just tell me about her.
My mom she's incredible. She's resolute and strong. Quiet strength, quiet faith, but hard fought.
Leo, welcome.
She's funny and a little mischievous, I would say, in her humor. She's a noble creature. She does what's right. She walks in faith, but not a fake, pious, put on faith, but like a grounded, earthy, she fought for it faith.
When you posted Please Pray in the beginning, the ocean of love and prayers, did you feel that? Did you sense what was happening?
I do feel prayers, I do. I believe that. I think she would have been just amazed, just truly amazed.
One of the images that stayed with me through all of this was you and Annie and Tommaso walking up and looking at the flowers and at the notes. As I saw that, I thought, I wonder if Savannah's going inside and what that must have felt like for you to go inside of your mom's, your childhood home, your mom's house.
Yeah, I mean, this is the house that we grew up in. It's really the only house I've ever known and remember. So we moved there when I was about 4, I think. It's the house where
Yeah, you might have to call the hospital, tell them got someone going off in the chats.
I came home on a Friday night at 16, and my mom and sister were on the couch praying and told me that my father had died. It's the house where all of our memories are, good and bad. So it's hallowed ground. My mom loved and treasured that house. In good years and lean years, they were able to hold on to that house. That's my mom's safe haven. It was really hard to see that violated and the terror that she must have felt is unbearable. It's unbearable.
Tell me, while you were spending all this time in Tucson, your kids were home, what do they know?
Well, it's so
You're right. And then we might have to make merch. I'm going to have to figure that out, you guys. But I think we might have to.
hard with kids because, you know, you want to protect them. Vale would write me all the time, Mama, any leads? Do you hear anything? You know, any hope? And I think that, you know, we tried to talk to them and try to give them a little more certainty than we have, to let them grieve. And for my little nephew Olmo too, you know, there's just a way in which this is even so much harder.
Hey, thank you so much, the boss bitch. You helped us reach our first goal, and I think you did it all by yourself. So shout out to the boss bitch. Damn, thank you. I appreciate that, the boss bitch. Are you sure you're feeling okay? Somebody please check on the boss bitch, please. But we did meet our goal, so I do have to look into getting some merch. What type of merch do you guys want to see, you guys? You guys want to see some Flojo TV merch, Inner Circle merch? What y'all want?
Annie and Tommy and Olmo, because they're there.
They're there, yeah.
And they were there every day for my mom. They made it possible for her to stay.
All right, you guys, and just because the boss bitch helped us reach our goals, I'm going to go ahead and gift 5 memberships right now. So, Ghost of Bandera, you said that you have your memberships turned on. So, hopefully after these 5 gifted memberships, you'll receive one. So, let me go ahead and send those in right now. 5 of you lucky people are going to receive gifted memberships. So, I hope someone gets it. Jordan, Liz, Lolo, Jess, Mandy, YouTube Bad Actors, and Chris B452. Ghost of Bandera. Maybe next time.
And the house we grew up in that she loved so much. I think she always stayed in that house because I think she still felt my father there. All our memories. You know, let her have her space. And it's just a way in which this is just even more excruciating for them and all that they've been through.
I know it was a hard decision for you, and I know you told me about this, was coming back here, leaving Arizona to come back to New York. Why was that so difficult, that choice?
All right, I gifted another 5 memberships. I was really trying to get you on Ghost of Bandera, but I tried. I gifted 10 already. Somebody's got to help Ghost of Bandera get a membership.
I looked out the window of the airplane and just thought, where are you?
Yeah.
That desert, that beautiful desert that she loves. Where are you?
Yeah.
How could I leave you?
Hey, Preacher, welcome.
But my mom taught me a lot.
The boss bitch also gifted another 5 memberships. If you guys received a gifted membership, please make sure you thank the boss bitch in the chat, y'all.
About grief. Our family knows grief. My father passed when I was 16 years old. He was only 49. It was a shock.
Dang, she lost her father at the age of 16. He was only 49 too. So that means for, I don't know what the age differences between Nancy and her husband were, but now that she's 84, that's almost her whole entire lifetime being raised without her dad. That must have been tough. So from 16 to I don't know how old Savannah is, but that's a whole long time without her father. Abraham, what's going on? Abraham, welcome.
And I remember my mom saying in those early days when Daddy died, like, you have to get up and decide and do. Just decide and do. And she had read that in a book that meant a lot to her and her grief. And so I always remember that. So I'm trying to decide and do. Just get up and decide and do every day. You know, I've felt terrible grief, and I felt unfathomable love and comfort. The goodness and kindness of God is remarkable and in equal measure to my sorrow. Wow. She showed us how to survive the unimaginable. When she lost my dad, she was 46 years old.
46.
She had 3 kids. She had never worked outside the home. She had to get up. She had to find a job. She had to mother 2 teenagers and 1 young adult just starting making his way into the world. She took care of her mother, her brother who had Down syndrome. She invited to come live with us. She worked part-time.
Actually, DJ See No Evil received the gifted membership tonight, so he finally got one. So, where's DJ See No Evil, y'all? Did you guys call him? Did you guys summons him in? You received it.
To make ends kind of meet. She found a way. Another job. A job she turned into a full-time job. A job she turned into a career. She had a second life of purpose and meaning. She had 1 million friends. She stayed strong for us. She was resolute.
I agree with you, Abraham. I don't know why YouTube hasn't fixed that, but you know, there's no need to. I think the boss bitch has donated enough tonight to the show for everybody. I feel like everybody in this chat could have got a gifted membership from her.
She was real. She grieved. I remember moments in my childhood and those days after my dad died. She was so strong. But some mornings before dawn, when she thought we were still sleeping, I would hear her crying at my door. To not be alone in her grief.
Oh, one of our mods, Sydney, just gifted a membership too. So whoever received the gifted membership, welcome to the inner circle, you guys.
So she taught me to be strong.
Okay. Obviously tonight we have a very low turnout of a show, so I am going to ask you guys to do me a favor, hit that like button. If you guys haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Rachel, you say you didn't get a notification. I'm curious, how many of you guys received the notification and joined from the notification? Because I heard YouTube's been tripping out like that and hasn't been sending a lot of people notifications.
But she taught me to be true. My faith is strong and resolute. But I, early on, felt that I heard for one of the very few times that
Julie, you neither? You didn't get one? That's crazy. Yo, YouTube's tripping out, yo. Either that or I just need to go live earlier.
in my life, I did hear God speak to me.
Oh, I did see this part, and this part for me honestly was a tearjerker. This part was sad.
as I said to myself, I can handle anything, God. I can handle anything. I just can't handle not knowing. We can't handle not knowing.
Yeah.
I have to know. And I heard a voice. And it said, you do know where she is. She's with me. She's with me.
So do I, Abraham. Thank you. But you're all the way in Miami. Like, it's got to be like what, almost midnight for you. So I appreciate you hanging out like into the wee hours of the night. And the other night that we did the other live stream, you came on and joined the panel. So that was cool. That was fun. Maybe we should do it tonight too. Maybe
So
we
whether
should.
she is on this earth still,
Should we open up a panel tonight or what?
or whether she is in heaven, I know where she is. I know who she's with.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, Starfish said subbed just because of the YouTube notifications problem. It's always been a problem. YouTube has always been terrible with notifications. It's crazy, right? Do they not want to take care of their content creators or what? Do they not want people to view? And I get it. I haven't streamed much in the past 2 weeks. This is probably my second live in like, or maybe third live in 2 weeks. So I get it. You know, my consistency hasn't been there and I pay the price for that. But for all of you guys that are here, I do appreciate all of you guys who have been hanging out. So, you know, thank you for rocking with your boy and keeping up because, you know, we've been a little busy, but I do appreciate everybody who's still hanging out with us.
But we need to know.
Everybody else, where's everybody else tuning in from? I got a few people from the East Coast. We got Miami's in the house. I know we got some people from the Bay Area. Where's everybody else from?
I mean, Savannah's faith has been on display over the years, but never quite like that.
I don't know if people realize that none of us have had much correspondence with her over this whole 54-day ordeal. So as we're watching this with the world, we're learning and unpacking so much about our dear friend.
Yeah.
And it's hard to process here in live TV in the moment.
Yeah. But what's amazing is the very source of her pain is the very source of her faith.
Arizona's in the house.
Nancy showing her the path.
Arizona.
So you get the sense by watching that. Obviously, the grief is just
North
unfathomable.
Carolina.
It's hard to watch. It seems like she's found some peace.
I think she's
found some peace.
I think she has found some, but I think she wants the answers too. She says that no one will steal the joy.
I think we got to put the boss bitch on timeout because she just gifted another 10 memberships. Did Bandera get one yet? Let's see. Sassy Kisses, Grammy Sammy, Cindy, Drunk Turkey Show was gifted one. Hey, shout out to Dan, Ava Hackshaw, Big Mama, Brittany, Desiree. Dang, Ghost of Bandera. You got people that are really trying for you guys. You got some people that are really trying to get you that gifted membership. Anyways, you guys, welcome to the inner circle, you guys. Everybody who received the gifted membership from the boss bitch tonight. I don't know how many gifted memberships you guys or that you sent out, but thank you so much. Does anybody believe her? Tara wants to know, does anybody believe her? Yep. Hospital has been contacted. They're going to go in and check your temperature. Make sure you ain't tripping. Leah Marie, thank you so much for your $4.99 super chat. Hey, Flo, just wanted to support you and Yoshi. Can I be his online stepmom? I got my notifications. Sorry, I've missed some of the lives. It's okay. We haven't had a live in about like a week and a half. Do I have a P.O. box? I do. Actually, I do, you guys. We just got a P.O. box last week. And actually, hold on 1 second because I got to get something. 1 second. And I'm glad, Leah. Thank you so much for reminding me. But yes, we did get a PO box, and we did receive our first piece of supporter mail. I'll go ahead and drop the PO box in the chat if you guys do want to send some treats to our mascot. Come here, Yoshi. Come here. Want to say hi to everybody? Yoshi's just over here by my side, hanging out. But I do want to give a shout out to Storm. Is Storm here? I don't know if Storm's here, but Storm sent us some mail, and I told her I was going to open it during the show. So I'm going to open it. Ugh. I forgot to have one for Mama Flo too, because Storm sent us gifts. And I want to say thank you, Storm. Thank you so much for hitting of the P.O. box. These are so cool. Aw, with a little note. That's so awesome. Let me see. So if you guys do want to send Yoshi some treats, I'll give you guys the P.O. box. It's really easy to remember, you guys. It's 90305. P.O. box 90305. Pasadena, California 91109. So I'll go ahead and put that. Let me put that in the P.O. box. 305. There you guys go. If you guys ever want to send Yoshi some treats, this guy loves treats. And actually, I got him some like dehydrated chicken feet, and this guy loves that stuff. Come here, Yoshi. Come here. Everybody. Oh my Lord. This is Yoshi, you guys. No, a P.O. box does not mean I'm official. No, but this is Yoshi, you guys. This is the CEO. What's up, buddy? I know, right? Got to get a little dog camera. All right, here you go, buddy. He sheds a lot. I know, right? It definitely costs more in postage. Yeah, just a cent. Oh, that's right. You're Julie, where are you at? You're in the UK? Yeah, I bet that stuff would be super expensive. Don't be scared, Tara. Just join us. Wait, the boss bitch, you said you sent one? What? You know you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have. I appreciate that. Oh, hold on. Let me see. In my experience with YouTube over 10 years, anybody they don't want to have heard, shut down my notifications, stuff like that. Uh-oh. Are they trying to censor us? Yes and no. Actually, yes, he was named after that Yoshi, but he was also named after Yoshinobu, the pitcher from the Dodgers, because I got him the day after they won the World Series. So actually what happened was I let people on YouTube vote for his name. So people of YouTube in the inner circle voted for his name, and Yoshi was the one that won. So that's how he got his name. Tech 9. So what do you guys think of this? Let me go ahead and I'm gonna actually let me start this one really quick because I pulled up, you know, AB's video because I wanted to see what else it was going to say. But where did I put it? I don't know where I put it. Where did it go? 1, this is 2. Okay, so here, we're going to play this because I also pulled up Ashley Banfield's. But before we do that really quick, let me pull up this one really quick because I saw this tweet earlier and it just made a lot of sense. So I guess this was an FB. Let me see. This says This is from an ex-FBI agent tears apart Savannah Guthrie's missing mom case. It says it points back to someone close. Did you guys hear that? Points back to someone close. When I heard that, I was like, oh no, what is he going to say? So here, let me play this and see what you guys think of this one.
Stuart, when you hear her say the door was open when they first found out the mom was missing, why are we hearing about this now?
You know, Jesse, I watched this interview several times, in fact, multiple times today with some of my colleagues, and we really tore it apart. And for the life of us, there are a lot of questions, a lot more questions than answers. And I don't have an answer for why we are just hearing about the back door. But let me just quickly go through several points. Number one is Savannah Guthrie tells us that when her sister calls her, when first calls her, Savannah goes, "You better call the police." Well, the sister says, "No, the police are here already." You know, Jesse, using common sense, if a loved one goes missing, the first thing you're going to do is call or text the people that are closest to that person to find out if you've heard from that person. That in and of itself seems a little odd to me as to why the sister or brother or anybody did not reach out to Savannah Guthrie prior to calling the police or while they were waiting for the police. There's about a 12-minute gap between the time 911 is called to the time the police arrive. That's number one. Number two is this would be the last scenario of an 84-year-old lady who has physical limitations that anybody would
wait, stop what? What? I didn't say stop. What? Who said that?
Contemplate kidnapping for a ransom. There was nothing that would have been consistent at the very onset to lead anybody to believe that Nancy Guthrie was the target of a kidnapping for ransom. That statement in and of itself causes me to now have a lot of questions as to how someone would have even gotten to that point from just being on the phone prior to showing up. Number three is Savannah Guthrie offered later on in her interview with some very specific facts that her mother left the house in her pajamas.
Oh no, over here we are all adults. Everybody gets to make their own decisions here on this channel.
Without her shoes. How did Savannah Guthrie know that at the time her mother left the house, she was clothed in her pajamas without her shoes on? Okay. That leads me to believe that law enforcement perhaps has other video that, quite frankly, they have not disclosed. Unless Nancy Guthrie only had one pair of shoes in that house, how would anybody be able to know that she left the house without her shoes on? That's a very specific material fact, and it caused us to pause and wonder. There's a lot of things that we just don't know.
You know, you bring up three really interesting observations. I don't, you know, I'm not an investigator, but you know how these things.
Right, Abraham. Well, what else will you be wearing in the middle of the night? A thong or a bikini? Hey, let me hit you with that. How are my ears? My ears are doing so much better that the doctors prescribed. Dear Lord, if it wasn't for them, my ears would still be in so much pain.
I can't explain the things that you're raising either. The notes, the two notes, she says, she still believes those weren't hoaxes. Well, what does that tell you?
She not only said that two of the ransom notes with specificity she believes are real, she actually also suggested that it was one kidnapper. She never refers to individuals, meaning plural. If you go back and listen to her interview, she talks about one person. And so that leads me to believe that in those ransom notes, and again, there may have been some clues within those notes. By way of example, we took your mom in her pajamas. You will notice that those pajamas are not there. We took her without her shoes. Her shoes or her slippers are still by her bedside. And so there is some specific facts that are known to law enforcement that, quite frankly, they're keeping very close to the vest.
And you guys, again, this is coming from Fox News. So, you know, take their news with a grain of salt, you guys.
I will just say this to you, that this interview, I don't think helped the investigation. In fact, if anything, I think it may have hurt. I think it also may have hurt their credibility because there are just things that just quite frankly don't add up. And statistically, these cases generally lead back to someone who's within that inner circle.
Wow, that's a strong statement, Stuart. We'll see how it plays out. Why would, putting the credibility issue aside, why would this interview hurt the investigation?
I'm not saying that it hurts the investigation, but I do believe that less is more, because the more information you let out to the general public, and obviously there is an individual, at least one individual, because we saw them on that Ring doorbell, it gives that person an individual to backtrack and perhaps cover his or her tracks. And so what
this guy really said his or her tracks. Come on now.
Suggestion would be is that less is more. Allow the investigation to run its course. I don't see any benefit to Savannah Guthrie going on national TV and kind of, opening herself up. Look, it is very upsetting. Clearly, this is a devastating situation for this family. But I'm not so sure that the investigators are in any way supportive of Savannah Guthrie going on a talk show to kind of lay out certain material relevant facts. By way of example, pajamas without her shoes. And by the way, Jesse, if you go back.
I mean, of course, right? Because the kidnapper was like, let's make sure we put you in some street clothes, and we'll make sure to put you in shoes because we're going to carry you out regardless anyways, right?
I believe that Savannah Guthrie said that she heard my mother said was begging for mercy. Now, I don't know if that's her interpretation, or is there a recording that was her mom pleading for mercy when she was leaving the house with whoever.
I wonder how much they paid this guy to be such an asshole. How much do you think this guy got paid to be an asshole? All right, yeah, same here. This one pissed me off too. We're gonna go watch Ashley Banfield, and how many of you guys have seen this one? Does she talk about like, oh, I told you my sources were right, told you guys
about the investigation and what happened inside that house that we had not heard before, and some that actually confirmed things that I reported to you on day 3. So I'm going to play for you the information that Savannah has released in her interview on the Today Show with Hoda Kotb. And also, I've learned some information as well from my sources in the investigation about the progress or lack thereof, specifics about that. And in a moment, you're also going to hear from an investigator who perhaps might be the leading authority on cases that are real difficult to solve. Like the case that he was instrumental in solving took up to 4 decades to solve. So Paul Holes, famous Costa Contra investigator, he is going to...
That's a good question. You're talking about Ashley Banfield? And in this video, that I'm not sure. But, again, I'm going to say it again. I found it really weird that Savannah didn't mention Tommaso or Annie when she was talking about Cameron. All she had to do was say Annie and Tommaso are great people. But not a single word. That was weird.
Join me in just a moment and talk about when a case atrophies and how they draw down on the investigators, the staffing, the resources, and all the rest. Like, what's the actual metric they use to start pulling everything away? Because right now we know there's a task force, right? It used to be 400 investigators, right? Now we know.
I'm about to be in bed too after this because it's been a long day.
No, it is task force, and it may be only a dozen or so. That's FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department investigators. So he's really, really knowledgeable about that, especially with the information that I just learned from my source about where this investigation stands now.
Okay, so here, let me just kind of pause it really quick, right? So to kind of put things into perspective, when Nancy was dropped off, right, we know that it's been reported, but we don't have confirmation because Clown Nanos has kind of walked everything back. We do know that Tommaso, maybe Annie and Tommaso were the ones that dropped Nancy off at home, right? And they were saying that she was dropped off to enter her. She entered her home through the garage. So I want to kind of put things into perspective for you guys and just kind of see where all of this took place, right? So if they pulled up into her yard, they must have gotten from here and gone all the way up. Let me just turn this comment off really quick. I don't know if you guys can see. Can you guys see my mouse? Oh, maybe not. That's weird. Well, you guys can see here, this is the driveway and it leads all the way back here to the garage, which is right here on the right side, right above the cacti, right? First, it was said Annie and Tommaso. Then it was said it was Tommaso. Thank you for the clarification, Gold Digger. Abraham, you want to come up or what? Here, let's open it up. Let's make it fun tonight, you guys. Have some fun tonight, they said. If you guys want to join the panel, I just sent a link for you guys to join. We can come up and have a talk about it. But anyways, here's the driveway that kind of does this little S curve and it leads up to the garage, right? And they said that she entered through her garage. But what's weird is that when the perp kind of enters into the scene or enters into the picture from that video, you see that he kind of comes off from the point of view, it's from the left side. But obviously, if you're looking at an aerial view of the house, he comes from the right side of this door. I don't know if you guys can see the door that kind of leads up to the front. So he comes off from that side. So I'm curious if the person, that perp, kind of like circled the area or may have came close. There you go. I have Abraham joining, so I'm gonna add you to the stage. Abraham, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going? How's your night?
Good, good.
How's the weather in Miami?
It's nice. It wasn't hot today. It was cool for Miami weather, but it's always nice here.
Is it better than LA?
Yeah, I think so. For the most part, yeah. But this year has been cold more than in past years, for sure.
Okay. Well, we got to make it stop out to Miami then. See that Miami nightlife.
Oh, it's popping here all the time.
Is it?
Yeah.
Damn. So, what are your thoughts on this whole?
Okay, so I think a lot of people make a big deal about where she entered from and all the stuff she did. There was nothing weird about it. When you have a house, you hardly use the front door.
I
The
agree.
garage is usually how you enter because that's where you park your car. That's what's easily accessible to like the kitchen or the mudroom or something. So that wasn't weird. And they say that she went into the house fast. I mean, the woman she just had difficulty walking. She was not a crippled, you know.
True.
And then when you drop somebody off, you don't wait. Well, was he supposed to wait till she went inside, got into bed and tucked her in? No, he dropped her off and he left. And he's probably done that hundreds of times. Why would he think that that night was any different than other nights?
It's a good point. I mean, maybe he didn't, right? And I mean, none of us know any of the truth or the facts, but obviously there's just a ton of speculation as to how she was dropped off. And to be honest with you, Abraham, I don't disagree with you. I actually agree. But they do say, I think it was from the time that the garage opened to the time that it would close, it was only 2 minutes? The garage opened in
I
about
can't remember. It was fast.
It was
But
fast.
that's normal.
And obviously, if they frequently go to Nancy's house, it would be very common for somebody else, like a family member, to have ownership of one of the garage remotes, right? So that's nothing far beyond normal. So you obviously wouldn't picture Nancy walking up to her garage, typing in a code, opening the garage door, then walking in. So it's very possible that Annie and Tommaso had a remote control to that garage. So that part, I don't see anything wrong with that.
And her getting off the car and walking into the house does not take 10 minutes. I mean, the garage is only so big. It only takes seconds for you to get out of the car and walk in and say goodnight.
And then if you're looking at this photo right here, I mean, who knows how close they drove up to the garage, right? They could have pulled all the way up to the garage door and they could have said their goodnights and she could have walked in.
Yeah, because he probably didn't even go in the garage. She just probably opened it to go in through there, and he probably didn't even go inside of it.
Or yeah, he probably didn't even leave the car, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and then she closed it right away when she got into the house, like to your doorway, which is the normal thing to do when you have that type of setup.
There have been rumors, right, or speculation that there may potentially have been perpetrators already inside the house. Have you heard that?
No, I have not.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you believe that there's a possibility that somebody could have already been in that house?
I don't think so, because then why was the guy in the camera, lurking around for, if they knew already the way in? Why risk it?
I mean, good point, right? But I mean, why risk it? I mean, he was already seen on camera, right? So maybe this guy wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed.
Well, listen, we haven't found her, so
Yeah,
if it was him,
there's a lot of
then he's doing a really good job, not leaving evidence behind.
So let me ask you, Abraham, do you believe that the perpetrator was an amateur, or do you believe that this perpetrator could have been a professional?
I think it was. It depends how you define professional. I wouldn't say. I say he did his research, and this was a very well thought out plan, because in order for him to have gotten her out of there, he would need a car. He would also need to drive that car past cameras, which he knew not to do until rush hour.
True.
I don't know, he thought about it really well. I think she was kidnapped for ransom, and they did not anticipate probably her passing, which is why they never provided proof of life when Savannah asked for it. When the FBI suggested, when she did that message, you could tell that was um by the police had advised her to do it, because they thought that the ransom was real at that time. At
And so,
first, they probably think it's not, but then they confirm this is probably legit. You should then do this.
do you think the perp acted alone, or the perp had help?
I think he had at least one other person.
One other
help him.
person. And
At least
it's
one other
crazy
person.
because we don't see anything, right? We haven't seen that
Nothing.
other person, no trace. Is there a possibility that they could have worn the same exact thing?
To do what? Wear the same exact thing for?
Where the because we have that one photo where he's not wearing a backpack. The
Oh yeah.
January 11th photo, right? There hasn't been any confirmation, but there's a lot of large speculation indicating that that photo was taken on January 11th, meaning that the perpetrator came around for one time, at least one time before in the past, before the actual abduction, which took place on February 1st.
To case out the place?
Correct, to case out the place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've also seen a video on the Drunk Turkey show that one of the people that was on his show actually was saying that there's a very large possibility that those photos were actually taken on the same night. And the way they did that was they lined up the photos of the still image where he was by himself without the backpack, and then a still frame from a time in the video. And basically what they did was they aligned the arches on the little porch, and then in the both of the photos you can see like leaves and stuff that were off to the right, and you were able to align them up perfectly. And he was saying, like, in events where there's like a little bit of wind or on a different night, there's a possibility that those leaves like don't line up perfectly, but he was able to line them up identically. So he was saying that there's a possibility that those two photos may have been taken on the same exact night.
Was it windy that night? Like, where is it? I don't know. I've never been there. So is it windy normally in the desert at night? I think it's cold, but I don't know if it's windy.
That I don't know. I actually don't know what the weather was that night. That's something that I'd have to, let me see if I can pull that up.
I think he was casing out the place in the one where he doesn't have the backpack.
On January.
Or maybe he came back then later.
Let's see.
But that's odd, because if you see a camera there, that's gonna set a motion. So that was kind of dumb.
40 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was a really cold night.
Yeah, that is cold. Oh
That's
wow,
actually
that's cool.
that's
Yeah,
pretty cold for a desert.
yeah. That's the lowest I saw in Florida here this year. It was freaking cold.
Oh yeah, I don't think California has had a night that cold this year. I could be wrong though.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's probably two different nights.
What were your thoughts on Savannah's interview?
I think she's acting like a normal, daughter would act in a situation like this. I don't find anything weird about what she's doing or has done. I don't even think she's involved. If anything, look, I said that the like the son-in-law, there's nothing that based on what people find is suspicious, I don't find that suspicious. If there are other things that I'm unaware of, he may be involved. I don't know. But based on what a lot of people say, oh, he dropped her in too fast and this and that makes no sense. That's just normal behavior. You don't expect somebody to be kidnapped or you don't expect any of these to happen until it's actually in front of you. That's why probably Savannah didn't call like the stuff about calling the police. I mean, you don't immediately call the police the moment you don't hear from an adult.
Correct. Do you think? Well,
The sister I find weird. I always found that the sister in every interview, Rocco, stop. Sorry, that's my dog. I find it weird that in every interview it was like she was not standing with the brothers. She was standing and looking at them instead of with them is the body language that I got. You always saw Savannah and her brother kind of close together. The sister was always to the side and kind of looking to them. I found that body language to be a little weird.
Or
But that's that.
separated with Tommaso in the picture.
I don't.
Oh no,
haven't seen the picture.
I don't think they've all been the four of them in the same place.
I've just seen like the video footage when it's all three of them like on a couch or something.
Let me go ahead and pull that up though, because that's a good thing to rewatch.
Rocco always wants center stage. The moment I pick up the phone, he comes running like is the call for me?
Right? I want to be a part of it. Let's see. Hold on. Let me find Savannah. Savannah Guthrie.
He always gets center stage, right, Rocco?
How many? Dang, she's uploaded a lot on her page. Okay, so let's go back to the very first video.
The one
Half of our family.
Leah said that there could be
We
two
want to
different
thank
people.
all
I
of you.
thought that too.
Say that one more time.
Leah said that there could be two different people. I thought the same thing too.
3 different people?
No, 2 different people.
2 different people. Yeah. There's definitely a huge possibility that there could have been two different people. Earlier on, before we heard anything, I was always under the impression that there could have already been somebody inside the house. Maybe they cased the place earlier, found out that there's a way to get in through the back, and they'd hide it through the garage. I don't know.
I also think it's somebody who was known to her because that's how she probably opened the door. That's why they got her to open the door, and I think that's why he was covering it with the leaves. If I recall correct, I don't know if there was like a wreath on the door, but I think he was trying to make it seem like the wreath had fallen and probably covering the camera or something along the lines, so that she could open the door and not see a man with a mask just standing there.
And another thing that I also found a little weird too was the day that the house was released back to the family, which was about 48 hours after her abduction. When Brian Enton went up to the doorstep, you can see the blood trail that was there, but then you can also see the shrubbery that was dropped onto the floor. And you'd expect that before the house was released back to the family, that those shrubberies would have been picked up and placed into evidence, right? But obviously, we didn't see any video of the perpetrator until about maybe 10, 11 days later, right?
I think that the sheriff guy, I think he thought that this was an old crazy lady that walked off in the middle of the night. I think that's how he treated it until he started getting like backlash from the public. And I think that's when he then took it serious.
Like a missing persons report?
He just thought it was a crazy old lady who walked off in the middle of the night on her own. And then when he saw that it was serious, then he started taking it seriously and pretended like he did from the beginning. But I don't think he did. And that's why all that stuff was missed.
So Gold Digger says, based on the 2 minutes dropped off until the garage door closes, maybe he pulled into the garage to drop her off.
I don't know, because it wouldn't make sense for you to go into the garage to then back. I mean, the garage is only so big. It's not like a football field. You need to turn around.
True.
He just is just in and out. You go
And
forward, you
way,
go backwards.
The way that driveway looked, it looked like you can just kind of spin around that driveway without having to turn home, right? There were like multiple ways to get in or out of that driveway.
Yeah, it's very spacious. I mean, but what do you mean, like the outside before you get into the actual covered piece?
Let me see. Let me go back to this part right over here. So you see how this driveway kind of leads to the garage? I feel like, and I haven't seen like the whole entire area, but I feel like there's another area where you can exit off of the property without coming back the same way. But that, I mean, I could be wrong. -24 where you're at? Ghost of Bandera, where are you at? Dear Lord. It's like Alaska weather. -24?
I used to live in Boston. I do not miss that. I grew up in Boston. I do not miss that weather at all.
I'd see my body is not made for the cold. Nope. I would not survive. I wouldn't do it. It wouldn't work. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this video. This is the very first video that Nancy or Savannah put out.
You for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She is funny, spunky, and clever. She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
The light is missing from our lives. Nancy is our mother. We are her children.
I'm sorry, when she started talking, it really just, to me, sounded very alien-like.
She is our beacon. She holds fast to joy in all of life's circumstances. She chooses joy day after day. Despite having already passed through great trials of pain and grief, we are always going to be merely human, just normal human people who need our mom. Mama, if you're listening, we need you to come home. We miss you.
Our mom is our heart and our home. She's 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain. She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk.
You know, also, Savannah had mentioned that there was a belief that maybe the first 2 ransom letters may have been real. I just find it very odd that if her and her family believed that those ransom letters were real, why didn't they just take the chance to pay it?
Okay, I think that the first one was real. The second one was proven not to be real. It took the FBI a little while to confirm that it was real. Law enforcement will always tell you not to give in to ransomers, not to do that. They leave that decision up to you. When they left it up to her, I think that's when she then offered the money. But then she asked for proof of life. That was not provided, which is why nothing ever came of that.
Very true. But I mean, I don't know, and maybe I'm just thinking in my own feelings, right? Because if I was a millionaire and I had what was the first ransom amount that they wanted? $600,000, right? As a millionaire, obviously that's something that you could afford, but it's a question of if you want to pay it or not. Yeah, they were asking. That's right, Deladane. Thank you for the reminder. Asking for Bitcoin in roughly around $600,000. I mean,
I thought it was 6 million.
Was it 6 million or
Yeah, it was
600,000?
I think 600,000
You're
Bitcoin
right.
is probably equal to 6 million.
You're right. It was $6 million. You're right. I mean,
Well, do you find that weird?
What, the ransom being that high?
No, the way that they asked for the ransom through Bitcoin.
No, I mean,
Okay.
with today,
I think that's perfectly normal in today's time.
Yeah, today's time, I think it's perfectly fine, right? With the known fact, it's debatable whether or not it's traceable or not.
It is practically untraceable.
Practically, yeah. I mean, there's absolute ways to trace it back, but for the most part, it's very difficult to track, right?
Yeah, it's
Obviously,
very
there's a whole
difficult to track.
blockchain that records all of it, but there's a lot of other hoops that you have to jump through when it comes to tracking down a lot of
You had your VPN, you encrypt a whole bunch of stuff, so people who want to do it can do it without getting caught. That's why it was better to ask for the money that way. That was not traceable, and then to go to the media is even better because now you have now you cannot say like, look for somebody who dropped off the letter at this location.
Well, and then I also believe too, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, TMZ received the first ransom note, which may or may not have been the same as the ransom note that was sent to the 2 local news stations. And I believe that, now this is just me speculating, right? But I believe that the reason why those ransom notes were sent to TMZ is because they knew that obviously the 2 local news stations didn't report anything out to the public, and it wasn't even known until TMZ made it public. But I think they sent it to TMZ because they knew that TMZ would put it out publicly and just broadcast.
Exactly. They did a news outlet and then a tabloid. If the news outlet would, before doing so, the news outlet is gonna do their due diligence before coming out and saying this, and they couldn't risk them not coming out and saying it. So who for sure would have said it? A tabloid platform. So that's why they sent it to TMZ as well.
They knew TMZ was going to be the first one.
Of course.
So
any tabloid would have done it, even if it was fake. They would have done it. They don't care about their reputation. They're a tabloid. A news, channel or whatever is gonna vet the information first, and that takes time. TMZ just willy-nilly did it.
So I mean, I don't know. I've been teetering back and forth on the whole idea of the ransom being real. I kind of lean towards it being real, but I mean, there's a lot of reasons and ways to kind of disprove its legitimacy. But
what the note?
The ransom notes, yeah.
I think the moment the FBI had difficulty tracing that note and finding its source, they knew it was legit.
True.
That's what I think. I mean, law enforcement may have their issues, but we have the best, there is. And if they can track it, then it has to be a professional doing it. Or this person just has a lot of good luck, whoever is doing that, whoever did this. But I think it is somebody who knew what they were doing, who knows what they're doing. Leah says that somebody with a jammer or walkie-talkie. Why doesn't she come up? I want to hear what she has to say.
Leah, you're not able to join the live? I'll drop
She
the link
says she clicks on the link and it takes her like somewhere else.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right link. Yeah, it says that it's the right one. When you click on the link, Abraham, where does it take you? It just opens up your web browser?
It took me to open it in the web. And then it asked me if I want to open the app for streaming out.
So if anybody wants to join, the link is down in the chat. It says report or block.
No, do neither.
Yeah, don't block us. Lily Jason from Twitch, what's going on? Welcome.
Don't do neither. Just bypass it and continue because it's a legitimate link.
That's true. If you can, just what Abraham said, bypass it. I don't think.
And maybe you can turn down your security settings on your phone.
But if anybody else wants to join the live, the link is also there. You know, feel free to come up. We can all have a good conversation about it and see what everybody's thoughts were. Secret Shade said, I hate TMZ. They mess cases up with all of their speculation-seeking behavior, right? And we've seen that kind of time and time again, and most recently with the Celeste Rivas case. And even that right now is so frustrating, you guys. We have 2 more days till it's David's birthday, you guys. I'm curious if we are going to get any news on that.
Leo was saying something about it. There's like a second part to this interview.
Oh, there were 2 parts. Yeah, we watched both of them earlier. So we watched part 1, and then we also watched part 2. Part 2 was a little bit shorter. So we watched both of them. I'm not sure what time you joined, Leo, but we did watch both.
Yeah, you were like 45 minutes into it when I joined. She says that Tommaso saying that great people there. I don't think she would blame Tommaso, because if she doesn't think it was him, why would she even mention him? I also hear a lot of people saying they like make a big deal out of that, her not mentioning her sister or Tommaso. It's like, why would you if you don't think that they have anything to do with this?
Well, she did, right? I mean, she didn't necessarily name them by name, but she addressed the speculations, and she did say how it's hurtful and it kind of takes away from the whole case. You know, I mean, she kind of addressed it, but she didn't name them. Deladank said, Loja, what do you think about Savannah's brother saying that it could possibly be Savannah's fame that got her mom kidnapped? I mean, you know, if you are that sibling or that child of the family who is a bigger name than any of your other siblings, I think it's going to be hard not to feel that way. But I don't know if Cameron was suggesting that it was because of that. But he was saying that he did believe right off the bat, immediately as soon as it happened, that it was a kidnap for ransom. So I mean, that would probably insinuate that they are kidnapping her because Savannah is the breadwinner or the moneymaker of the family, and she's got a couple bucks, as she said, right?
I mean, whoever said that, I mean, I don't think that's a statement, it's not properly to say that. I mean, I wouldn't say that, because that just means that you are kind of shaming the other person for being successful. That has nothing to do with her. The person who did this chose to do this. It was their actions that got us where we are. That has nothing to do with Savannah and her success. She's blessed to have the success. She shouldn't feel bad or think that she's at fault for being successful. That just, I don't know. That statement is kind of silly.
I mean, she mentioned it in the first part of the video. You know, she couldn't help but feel like if it is because of her, right? Again, I know that people keep bringing up the files, right? We don't know if this has anything to do with it or not, right? But because it's happened before in the past, people can't help but include the speculation that that's the whole reason why it happened. But we don't know, right? And Savannah probably doesn't even know.
Leah, then try to make the link work. Turn on the security settings on your phone. That's what's blocking.
Or if you have Google Chrome, try opening it up from Google Chrome. I don't know.
Or copy. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can copy the link from the phone.
Yeah, copy the link and then open it up in a browser.
Yeah.
Della Dank, you want to come up and join the panel? Or Gold Digger, you'd be a great person to come up and join the panel. Gold Digger, come join the panel. I'm gonna send the link again. I'd love for Gold Digger or Della Dang, anybody who wants to come up and just
See,
chat.
I don't find that weird because what if Savannah called her because she heard something about the mother? She probably was getting text messages from random people asking for her mother. So she called her sister asking, "Hey, is everything okay?" Like, what? How else would you approach that? I think that's perfectly normal human behavior to do that. Doesn't she talk to her sister often? Maybe she doesn't, or maybe I don't know.
It's
I just don't find that weird.
I mean, it's easier to say like what you could, what you would do, but if you're placed in that situation and going through it right there in the moment, it's hard to say what you would do, when you hear that kind of news, right? Um, Everybody reacts to it a little bit differently. And no, it's completely normal to feel like they're in shock. So, I mean, do I blame her? I don't know.
I always put myself in the situation of how would I react, and I do like if you were to propose a question to me, I immediately just think of the question and my immediate reaction. I don't think too much into it so that it does not influence how I am going to react, and that is what I usually go with. So if I was to be presented with this, what would I do? And in my head, I go, blah blah, blah, this is what you would do. You will call here, you ask this, and that is what I think is perfectly normal behavior for me
Yeah.
and what I would expect the majority of the people to react in a situation like that.
Well, it depends, right? And the reason why I say that is because, like, as a teacher, as a nurse educator, there's simulation labs that I place my students in all the time, right? And the whole purpose of that is to kind of understand how they would react in immediate situations that kind of require critical thinking, right?
Mhm.
And some people are able to kind of talk you through this perfectly without a mistake, right? But when you hear the words action and it's go time, sometimes people kind of freak out and they go blank and they don't know what to do. I've even seen people say, like, when it's time to perform surgery on a patient, they blank out and they forget the steps that they're supposed to do. So I mean, it's again, it's easier said than done, right? And I don't know. I again, I try to put myself in their shoes too. But if I were to find out the same news of my mother missing, going kidnapped, or getting kidnapped, I mean, I could tell you the first thing that I would do, but I don't know if, like, in that moment, everything would play out, in the ideal situation. So again,
I see
I don't.
what Leah. I guess the comment Leah made, I think I got it backwards, but it would still be the same. It's like maybe she was getting phone calls or messages from other people who were already looking for her. So when Annie called her, she said, "Is everything okay?" Depending on when, like, if my sister was to call me early in the morning, that's the first thing what I would say. Hey, is everything okay? Because that is not the time that she would normally call me, or
Yeah.
at an odd hour. Like I sleep in late. I work from home. My family knows not to call me like really early. If they do call me, I'm gonna immediately say something. Is everything okay? Because they know I don't like to be like woken up so early. So depending on when Savannah called her, maybe it's not a usual. It was not the usual time she usually communicates with her sister, which could have
Did the
been why
interview
she said that.
in the interview,
Hmm?
did they mention when that phone call took place? Was that on the day they discovered that she was missing? Or was it that night? Because I don't remember them saying, like, when exactly the phone call was made, but then I also remember that during the press conference that Sheriff Nanos had mentioned that they were there at the house in the evening. So do you guys remember that when Sheriff Nanos had said in the press conference that they were there like the night before
Where at the house?
at the house? I know, I don't know if he just misspoke, but I do remember that he did say that. Okay, so when the police were there. Yeah, okay, so Hope is saying they didn't say the exact time.
Yeah, I mean, I see what Leah's saying, but I don't find that weird.
Hold
I
on,
don't find that odd that she would ask that because it was probably not the normal time that she would call her.
my sister
I don't find that
called me
weird.
saying, "Is everything okay?" And then Annie said, "No, mom is missing." Yeah. Hope is saying, "I
That
think we spoke."
like
And
how else would you have expected her, like how else is Leah thinking that scenario should have gone for it to be not weird, I guess.
Yeah. Let me see. Savannah did not call her. Annie called Savannah and called Savannah. In the interview, Savannah said, my sister called me and I said, is everything okay? And then Annie said, no, mom is missing. Yeah. But if he called her the day it happened, Savannah's time zone is different. So it would have been later on in the day on Sunday, not Arizona time, which is true, right? Arizona's what, 1 hour ahead of us. So that would have been, if she was in New York, that would have been 2 hours ahead. I don't know what time Annie called Savannah. Let's just say, I don't know, 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock on that day that she went missing was when the police arrived, right? Because I think the first phone call, I don't know if it was from the person who discovered, like the church member that made the call. Maybe the church member is called Annie. And then
I
Annie,
think they were probably trying to get a hold of the family and probably the Annie first. She's the closest.
yeah.
And
Yeah, they
then,
probably knew if something happened, always call Annie because she's the closest.
and then of course, if I'm Annie, I'm not going to immediately think, oh my God, my mother's kidnapped, or oh my God, something's happened. Like I would call my mom and see, and this probably all happened very quickly, like within minutes. You know, she got the phone call, then they went and checked for her and all that stuff. It was not, I don't think it was like hours that went by from when they were notified.
Let me see. Let me pull up the timeline.
And she's a grown woman, had her own car. She could get around on her own. How do you know that she just didn't go somewhere else and just didn't tell anybody? So I think the family is not going to immediately call the police. Oh my God, something's wrong.
Let me
I don't
pull
think
up
they
this.
thought that till after they went to the house.
So it says here 5:32 p.m., right? So January 31st, 2026, 5:32 p.m. Nancy travels to local family's home. 9:48 p.m. Family drops Nancy off at home and garage door opens. 9:50, which is 2 minutes later, garage door closes. Then on February 1st, in the early mornings at 1:47, the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects person on camera. Wait, at 1:47, the doorbell camera disconnects. And then at 2:12, oh, the software detects person on camera, no video available, no subscription. 2:20 a.m., the pacemaker app shows disconnected from the phone.
That means it was far, I believe.
Okay, but this part right here doesn't, wait. 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects.
47.
Right? Is that what you do?
And then when was the video footage captured?
There's no timestamp on it, but it does say here that 2:12 a.m. software detects person on camera.
Okay, I think what happens is sometimes, because it happens to me, if there's like an outing in my area for a few moments, my cameras disconnect and I begin to get alerts. Ring sends me an alert, Nest sends me an alert, my Google Home, everything starts sending me an alert, can't connect to internet.
Okay.
And it would only last a few moments and then it will come back on. Maybe that's what happened. You usually have that in the middle of the night when they do updates to your
Correct.
modem and stuff. Everything like shuts down for like a little bit. So that's maybe what happened.
That's weird though, because it does say doorbell camera disconnects, and hopefully I'm reading this right because it is a little blurry. Let me see if, hold on.
But you are right, because that is what we've been hearing. The door camera disconnects,
Yeah,
and
so
then
here,
we see footage after, and we think why if it disconnected, but it doesn't mean it couldn't have come back on.
True.
When it comes back on, I still get alerts. Does Nest? I know Ring does. I don't know if my Nest camera does.
13 plus 21.
And you always get, like, even if you don't pay the subscription, you always get an image. I mean, you always get a quick
thumbnail.
video footage. Okay, so yes, the system assigns a thumbnail based on whatever image is captured, but it does record for a few seconds, and you are able to see it for like a day or so. You just can't save it. You just won't probably be able to download it. Yeah, you can download it, immediately, and you just cannot. It just won't be like at a higher quality, and it will automatically erase after so long. The subscription only gets you like 30, 60 days of retention for that footage. So the police can access other footage, because if they were able to access her account within a day or two, the footage is still there. Or if there was movement, a thumbnail for that snippet will be assigned to that to that clip.
I'm looking at my Blink camera. I'm trying to see.
Like Ring doesn't Ring. If I don't think Ring lets you. If you don't have the service, you cannot do it. I know Nest does.
Mine's
And
through
that's what she
Blink.
has
That's through
Nest.
Amazon. So, but here it doesn't have a date stamped on it, which is weird. So
You will have to get that will be like in like the details of whatever clip it is.
I have a few different like camera brands, like, and I have Wise, which is I think it's a Chinese company. I have to put a memory card in the camera in order for it to record live video, meaning 24/7 recording, where I can kind of rewind back through the day. But it'll also give me alerts. But I do have to have a subscription though, if I want to have like that live view. So it's weird because in order to have the live view, because I have like 3 other cameras that just take like still images when a notification goes off, whether it senses a person walking or whatever. But there's no video. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a little weird. But you are able to still pull still images from it, and you are able to like download them and save them. I have Blink, which is an Amazon product. I don't really like their services too much because you can't do like you can't record like all throughout the day. So wouldn't she get notified on her phone? Yeah, if she has the app. You should, right? And I know that she used to, or she loved to watch the wild animals, so she would most definitely have the app on her phone so she could watch from the cameras. They could go on her phone to see the notifications, and they did have the access, which is weird, right? Because you'd expect that if they have her phone, that they'd be able to look at the app itself and see what notifications go off. Electric Snails, how's it going?
Yeah, they should be able to see the push notifications.
I like your photo. It's Afro Man in his suit. That's funny. Yeah, the push notifications should have shown at least a thumbnail image of whatever notification went off, right? So person walking, somebody at the doorbell, whatever.
Like when you don't have a membership, it will the system or the equipment will take a video clip for a few seconds. When you do have the paid membership, it will just capture all movement as long as there is movement. So if there was a person in front of the camera moving for 20 seconds, it would capture those 20 seconds if I have the subscription. If I don't, it will probably just capture for like 5 or 10 seconds.
There's also a feature on my app too that you can set. You do have to set it manually though, but there is an option, like if there is a movement, what it can do is it can capture 10 seconds before that movement, which is weird. I don't know how that works.
I know. I never understood that either. Well, that's because it's constantly. I think it's constantly recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Ring does that. I never understood that. I'm like, how can you go back in time and record before that?
It's kind of like the live photos, right? If you have an iPhone and you take a live photo, it captures like, I don't know, 2 seconds before and 2 seconds after.
Yeah, it would capture like a little video, but it doesn't do it from before. Ring does it. Ring will record 10 seconds prior to the motion. I never understood how it could do that. The only thing that I can think of is it's constantly always recording when you have a subscription, because that's a feature that you can only turn on when you have the paid subscription.
That's true. And I don't own a Nest, so I'm not sure how the user interface works and the settings that you can set. But man, you'd expect for a family that has more than $1 million to at least, I know, right? China is probably watching me on all my cameras. Oh well.
I know. I mean, they're just gonna watch me on Goofy here.
Right. Leah, we'd love for you to figure out how to hop on.
I know, Leah. Get up here.
Come on, Leah. Got that pound cake. They're all different because I have a Ring and I have 3 cameras around my house because I have a 13-year-old daughter and she is outside with our dogs, and there are some creepers out one day staring. Yeah.
I have Nest and I have Ring.
You have Nest and Ring. Which one do you like better?
I think Ring you can do more. But you have to have the pay subscription. Nest you can do a lot without it. I have it for both because I want to be able to keep the video footage, because Lord knows the moment I cancel it, that's when I'm going to need some.
That's where you're going to need it, right? Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to just let me just keep it, and I kept it.
It's like having one of those dash cams in your car, right? You have it running when your car's on, but it's only going to help you when you get into an accident.
Yeah. That's why I've never canceled it, because I'm like, I have it. And the moment I cancel it, I'm probably going to need it. So
what other camera, like for those of you guys in the chat, do you guys use any other camera services for surveillance? Because I know there's things like Arlo, and I know I've bought my parents an Arlo before. I don't know. I have an
Arlo system in my storage. I never use it.
And the cool part about those cameras too, right, is that, like, let's say if you have one of those I forget what they're called, like the Echo Show, which is like that little display. Mm-hmm. You can like give it a command and it can pull up the actual the video on the display.
Yeah, I have a like that tablet from Google. And you can I can ask it to show me the camera from wherever I want, and it'll begin to show it. And if somebody rings my doorbell and I'm watching TV, it immediately cuts to the video footage of who's at the door.
Hey, D Lucky just became a member. Thank you for renewing your membership, D Lucky. Welcome to the inner circle. But yeah, blue. Hold on. Zoila said Blue Rams. Is that a camera brand? Never heard of that. So yeah, so Gold Digger had a good comment too. What was going on from 147 disconnect to the 212 motion detected? According to Nanos, he said that it could have been an animal for all we know. So that would lead one to think that the motion was outside. I think that really is weird though. The 147 disconnect. I wonder what the notification was that they received on the phone for it to say that it disconnected. Because then that also doesn't give us a time frame as to when the perpetrator was seen. Well, I guess you can see software that detects person at 212, right? So let's just say
it says person.
So 2:21 a.m. software detects person on the camera. So if that's the video where he's putting the shrubs on the camera,
yeah,
that means, and then 2:28 is when the pacemaker app disconnects. That's only 7 minutes, right? That's a 7-minute window. So we have to take into consideration what we're looking at. If what they're telling us is correct, where the perpetrator is seen in that camera footage, manipulating whatever he's doing on the camera to the time that her pacemaker disconnects, that's only 7 minutes. They were saying that the person spent 41 minutes inside the home, and I'm trying to figure out where those 41 minutes are now coming from.
I always wonder, how did they determine those 41 minutes from when to when?
Well, I always thought it was from 147 to 221, but I really had to pull out my calculator to add that up, and that's only, hold on, let me see. That's 13 minutes plus 21, and that's 34 minutes. Yeah, right? Because you heard 41 too, right?
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. That well, I don't know. Yeah, I've heard 147. That it disconnected at 147. But then I know I never knew how they determined the amount of time he spent there. I thought it was based on the footage of the video and then when the pace disconnected.
And if we're taking that for what it is, the software detects the person at 2:21. So that only leaves 7 minutes for them to go into the house, take Nancy, and then bring her out, right? Or what this could also indicate too is that at 1:47, when the doorbell camera disconnects, that's when they start to make entry into the home. And then 2:21, where the software detects the person on the camera, this could be them after they've removed her out of the house and they come back to take the camera off, right? Because to me, that would make more sense.
Yeah.
You go in there, you break into her home, you abduct her, you do whatever you did with her, you remove her from the home, and then you remember, oh crap, now I got to check to see if she has a camera. And then if she does, I got to pull it off. I pull off the camera at 2:21, and then 7 minutes later, we take off.
But so the video footage that we see, you think that was after she was taken?
I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, now that I'm looking at this time, to me, that kind of makes more sense than anything else.
I don't believe that the person was there for 41 minutes either. Whoever just made the comment, I think they were in and out, which is why they haven't been able to find much evidence. A lot of people who comment on this, they say that it was the police. I mean, if there is no evidence, what do you want the police to do? They're not going to stay there forever looking for something that doesn't exist. Which is why they were probably in and out of that house quickly.
Leah, which video are you asking to pull up? Which one? We can pull it back up. There are breaks in the timeline in the house. 1:47 disconnect, 2:12 motion detected. Boom, Flojo 2:12. They are possibly leaving the house, right? And that's what I thought very, very early on, because the time honestly didn't make sense. You know, if they're going in there for a targeted kidnapping, a kidnapping is a you get in and you get out type of thing, right? So
yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think in the chat? Do you guys think that the 2:12 where the person's located and he's coming on in the video where we see him, you know, pulling out the plants and putting it on the camera, is there a possibility that that could have been after they've already taken her out of the house?
I don't think so, because he seemed like he was still like looking around or getting to know, like, I guess how he was gonna break in. If it was afterwards, he would have gone, ripped the camera and left. He would have been like in a rush, I think.
That's a good point. Let me see. Let me see if we can pull up the video.
See, but if the back door was open, then why didn't he enter through there? I don't think there's a camera in the back, or at least we haven't been told there was one.
They should release the full video, right? Or whatever else they have, because if they don't have the questions, maybe somebody on X or on TikTok can find the answer out for them. What about the blood? There was no blood when the person was there. And they determined that the blood on the ground did belong to Nancy, right? So
I'm not sure, because didn't that
so my question,
Longhorn, Foghorn?
A question that I also have too that I don't think we have answers to is, when law enforcement checked the door, or whoever opened the front door first, did they notice if the front door was locked? Because from what we've seen, the door was closed, right? The door and the screen door.
I don't know. I've never seen a video of anybody making like an initial attempt to get in there.
Because they're saying that the perpetrator must have exited through the front door.
Because of the blood.
Because of the blood. Yeah. And then also, I don't know if you guys have seen the photos today, but Chillinois also posted some photos of what looked like potential footprints. Let me pull that up too, because when I saw that, I was like, oh, there's a possibility that that is actually true. So let me see. Let me share this really quick. I don't know if you guys can see this right here, but Chillinois on X put that it lines up too perfectly not to be made by the same object. a shoe print. So if you take a look at this blood splatter right here, they're saying that the footprint matches the shoe that looks like it's like an on cloud shoe. So you see here that there's lines here, and then this person also took photos of the bottom of their shoes, and they said, I really hope that they treat that pattern as a shoe print or something else significant. If the suspect had a pair of on clouds on, I think he did on the front porch, then they'd have similar patterns to that. I pulled out one of my old pairs, and let's say, I'm not implying these are the same style because they're not, of the OCs to refer to, but it is possible. I'm in disbelief that the doormat wasn't taken. How could you ignore that huge piece of evidence? If he had on clouds, they are magnets for evidence because of the soles on them. So if you take a look here, it's crazy because, yes, they do look very similar, right? Those shoe prints. And then these little prints right over here. Let's see. Jad says, who knows? It would have been Annie who went to the door. Quit playing. You really think it was Annie with the fake mustache? Oh no, did we lose Abraham? There doesn't appear to be any forced entry to the front security door. And that's a good point, right, Gold Digger? Because there's no forced entry, but also there's no... There you go. Let me bring it back up. You there, Abraham? Abraham, are you there? Can you hear us? Hello, hello, hello. Nene's laughing. Hilarious if it was somebody with a fake mustache. I mean, you know, we've heard it so many times that there's a possibility that it could have been. They ain't ready for that conversation. Jad said when she went to go check on her mom, she could have gone through the front door. So you think she may have stepped on the blood? Like she didn't notice that it was there? Yo, that's a big L if Annie did not see it. Well, I mean, if she didn't think of it, but I would assume that Annie, if they always drop mom off at the garage, then the best way to get into the house was to go through the garage. But they probably had a suspicion, though, when they received the phone call that nobody was there. So I don't know. What do you guys think? And Abraham, if you're still there in the chat, I pulled you up, but I don't know if you were able to hear me. It's really... The video I said to pull up, it's on Megan Kelly's channel. She has Banfield on interviewing her thoughts. It was like 5 days ago. Oh, girl, you want me to go through 5 days worth of videos? Find the video and tell me the timestamp, though. That'd be a lot easier if you could do. Hope said, I think with OC, the logos wouldn't have been filled in like that because the logo is filled in. Wouldn't it just be the outline of the logo? Let's take a look. I feel like if that was the status, so my question is which direction is the shoe print going, right? Is this, because let me see, where's the original photo? Those definitely don't look like on clouds though. I don't know. I've never owned a pair of on clouds. But let's look at, hold on, she had another post. This one, oh no, this isn't it. Where's the one that had the red arrow? Oh, right here. So my question is this the back of the shoe? And then would that indicate the direction that the perp was walking, meaning away from the door? Or is it a different part of the shoe? See, because that part right there, they're circling the heel of the shoe. Wasn't the blood there already when whomever delivered a package? Could they have stepped in the blood? That's always a possibility, right? I mean, Hope said, I saw, let me see, I saw another photo of the on clouds where the logo was filled in with the rubber. So I'm curious if on cloud, like the bottom of the shoe have different different souls. I don't know. If any of you guys are in the Discord though, I did share all of these photos in the Discord, so you could go to the Discord, and I think it's in the Nancy Guthrie channel. You guys should be able to pull up all of the photos from there of the On Clouds. The beginning of Monk's episode. Which video though, Sid? All right, there you go. Abraham, I just dropped the link so you can pull it up. All of them? Yeah, send me the link on Discord. We can pull up his channel. Abraham, can you hear me?
Yeah.
There you go.
I got kicked out of the app.
You got kicked out?
Yeah, it just kicked me off for some reason. It was having me log in and it kept bringing me like on a loop.
Here, let's go play the latest video from Monk's Intrigue. Shout out to Monk's Intrigue. I'll drop his channel. Let me drop his channel. Hold on. Let me drop his channel first, and then we'll watch this video. Because we are... Got to multitask here, y'all. All right, let me show this video real quick. Though he makes really good videos, although a lot of it is speculation. Some of the, a lot of the points that he talks about are at least good food for thought.
His interview for the Today Show came out this morning, and it was really powerful. As emotional as it gets, and I admit personally, I did not know about Savannah before all of this, but I do get why there are a lot of people that care about her or love her. To me, there's nothing, at least that I could see, about her that is condescending and pretentious. And I admire that in anybody, right? Her strength and her ability to show her emotions is what makes this interview that much more powerful. And I'm sure we've all been awakened, in the middle of the night from a bad dream and are just relieved that it was just a dream. And for Savannah to say, that she would wake up in the middle of the night, and for us to know that her nightmare is still ongoing, right? Never ending. We mentioned in our last video that we do expect, Savannah to defend her inner circle, as she should and will continue to do so going forward. Now, one of the more poignant things that stuck out to me, at least, is when she said, "I will not hide my face." And Savannah, of course, says this unironically because I genuinely believe that she believes in the good of all people, because why else would she still reach out, make pleas to a stone cold kidnapper's heart, or the company of characters that a character like that keeps. So as I was reading comments,
Sorry,
I came across a comment of character.
Rewind this because there's a point right here where you can see, let me turn off the comment really quick. In this video, you can see that he's like reaching for something. And a lot of people keep saying that he's reaching for the doorknob, which I don't believe he's grabbing the doorknob at all.
He's to a stone cold kidnapper's heart.
Like this part right over here. So he's either lifting like the bottom of the camera, and Leah is saying that he's testing the strength of the camera, so then that way he can yank it out.
Or the company of characters.
And then they're also saying that there's a little black like screw that's on the gate that he may have been trying to twist.
That a character like that keeps. So
he's for sure trying to cover the camera.
What's that?
He's for sure trying to cover the camera.
Or at least trying to cover the camera so his face isn't being...
Yeah. I came across a comment that asked me how I feel about the whole situation now in light of Savannah's interview. A very fair question. How this changes my views on this whole situation. And I feel I need to make this as clear as possible. I would rather it not be anyone in Savannah's circle. They're in a lot of pain. I'd rather they find some solace if they can, if it was anybody else, right? I would rather any of the dots that we've connected here on this channel just be coincidences, that it's just some random idiot that night. If you watched my Tommaso video, all I asked was for him to allow us to know him better. Even in my Annie video, I just thought it's strange that she's the only sibling that didn't make a plea video. Okay, we don't point fingers here. We just point out things that we find peculiar. I mean, we've touched on Luke, we've touched on Carlos, we've touched on Kalela. Because why? Because these are characters that were interjected into the case for us, not by us. We did not do the handpicking, okay? The authorities did the handpicking for us, and it became public.
Did he just make a FUBU reference? He did, huh?
Information. I mean, Tommaso being the possible prime suspect early on, even if Ashley Banfield never said a word about it, he's still the last person to see Nancy alive, and that we can all chalk up to being just an unfortunate position to be in a missing persons case. We're not here to witch hunt. Witch hunting is going.
And that's a really great point, right? I think even before Ashley Banfield even named Tommaso as a prime suspect, he was the last person to see Nancy, and therefore that by default made him
a suspect. That's the common thread that we see as true crime followers, people who watch a lot of true crime. That is the first thing something that you consistently hear throughout interviews. The person who last saw them is most likely going to be a suspect at first, because it's natural. So I never found that odd for him to be a suspect. He was the last one to drop her off. Of course he would be. But then I saw no other proof that there was anything nefarious that he did to then point the finger at him.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair. And obviously, Sheriff Nanos said that the family has been cleared, although I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're clear until you're not.
Yeah. And
until they find something else.
In that Fox video that we showed a few minutes ago, that FBI agent was saying, it with everything that kind of doesn't make sense in this whole thing, it still kind of points back to someone being inside her inner circle. So that was a little.
Well, that man was reaching. He was like reaching real high. He was saying a lot of crazy nonsense.
Yeah. And you guys, if there's anybody else that wants to come up on the panel, you guys are more than welcome to,
I hope Leah can figure it out.
I know. Leah.
The link is working because I just clicked on it again and it worked. What she's getting is a pop-up that Apple does for security. She has to turn her security settings down a bit to like medium or low. And she can do that by clicking on the if she clicks on the little puzzle sign on the browser at the bottom of the screen. There you can find where you can allow for that link to work for this one time.
Yeah, maybe you have like pop-ups blocked or something.
Yeah, she can remove that real quickly from clicking on the little puzzle button.
Leah's getting frustrated. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on this phone. I can't pull up your comment because you're saying bad words. Darn. See, we just started using StreamYard too, so I don't know how to fix it for you. I wish I knew. Otherwise, I'd give you advice on how to fix it, but even I don't know. All right, let's continue with this video.
Via unfounded information, pulling something out of the skies. We're just invested in this case, and we're trying to connect the dots as best we could in an investigation that isn't giving us much. And so with all that being said, okay, Savannah's interview doesn't really change much for me, okay, because does the interview change the very unfortunate gate that certain people have? Does it change Kalela's connection to Tucson's goth scene? And does it change the fact that 300 deputies in Pima County took a vote of no confidence in Sheriff Nanos? We're talking about 300 unanimous votes, not majority, unanimous. So it appears that Nanos is on his way out. So while on the topic of Nanos, the murmurs on the internet is of being appalled about the vetting process of Pima County, because Chris Nanos, while in El Paso PD, had 26 allegations that resulted in 8 suspensions. That's a total of 37 days of lost work, a litany of misconduct that could have easily been accessed because it is public information. And oopsie, that spiraled in to this man being Pima County's sheriff. A bad sheriff, in my opinion. And whenever Brian Ensign has on this very fine gentleman named Rick Castigar, I can't click on the video fast enough. As a refresher, Castigar served 46 years for Pima County and says it himself that he knows the characters, the players of Pima County very intimately. And I know he speaks from experience, he speaks from the heart, and he speaks with the palpable disdain for Chris Nanos. This poor man even confessed that spending the majority of his career being Chris Nanos' boss, basically being his mentor, and even at a certain point, Chris Nanos' friend, was a great regret of his. Wow. He even takes blame for Chris Nanos being Pima County's sheriff because the prior sheriff before Nanos did not like Nanos at all. That sheriff actually wanted Castigar to be the next sheriff, but it was a bad time for Castigar in his life. He had certain family obligations that kept him from doing so. And so Castigar recommended Nanos. Out of sheer respect for Castigar's opinion, that previous sheriff said, okay, let's go ahead and back Chris Nanos. Nanos ran for sheriff.
The Boss Bish, are you there? We just added you to the stage. Hello. All right. Well, we have you on stage. If you're there, you can turn on your microphone.
And he won.
Well, I'll tell you something, Brian. And I was asked this not too long ago. Had his past been known in 1984 when he came to hire for the Pima County Sheriff's Department, he would have been disqualified based on his past in El Paso. 8 suspensions and disciplinary issues far beyond anybody that I know. It would not been survivable for him to be an employee. It was overlooked, or the resources weren't available to look into it.
Every time Rick Castigar is on, this man does not disappoint. As he proceeded to drag Nanos through the mud, and it was glorious. Just watch Brian Enton's interview with Rick titled Sheriff's Former Boss and some other stuff. I mean, the whole thing is fascinating, you know, from beginning to end. If you need some Chris Nanos bad-mouthing immediately, scrub to maybe the middle of the video and get some popcorn.
This guy's giving you the timestamp and everything.
So touching upon this whole Sheriff Nanos recall thing that's going down right now, as well as it appears to be going, a process of dethroning a sheriff in this situation could take possibly up to a year, which I assume means that for Sheriff Chris Nanos, at least for the next year, it's back to business as usual. And it was a bit disappointing to read that, okay, for obvious reasons. And, you know, for a moment, my imagination started going a little wild, right? We're imagining a new sheriff in town, right? One that will put boots in ass, spurs and all, so that no one is cleared anymore. Not even Nancy herself, because this guy is no nonsense until someone is rotting in prison. Now you have this sheriff just looking at you, blank faced. And the conversation doesn't start with, "How's the fishing going, Bob?" or even, "How are you doing today?" No, he just looks at person of interest number one and says, "I have a few concerns." And it's just fanciful thinking. I know that, but it's fun to think about. So what we actually should expect is for the clown show to continue a little longer in Pima County. You know, I'm starting to hear at this point that people are getting hung up on when they call in tips. I hear that even the FBI is so inundated with, you know, phone calls from tipsters that they too have resorted to just keeping things short and hanging up on people. So I'll say it's hard to find good help, right? I don't know if that's, you know, in the protocol of taking tips, but it's happening. Be even harder to report it. I remember Sheriff Nanos telling us in the beginning that they want tips. There was no tip too small. We just didn't know that he also meant he didn't want any tip too big either. My name is Monks. Expect to hear from me when the next shoe drops in the Nancy Guthrie case. And if you need more video.
Abraham, you still there?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Coco Mom just gifted 5 memberships.
I think the sheriff is a clown. I mean, before I even heard about this case, I remember seeing a press conference that he did. I assume it was the next day after the first, where he came in joking, laughing, saying, I need to do another press conference because I didn't know that I had to be really accurately with my reporting, and that the people were going to drag me or whatever. He came in like hot, very defensive, very wasn't taking his job seriously, thinking that it was okay not to be accurate about the information he was putting out. That from there, I knew, I was like, this man is like, well, who is he? And then after I saw that Brian Anton interview with that other guy, I'm like, that just put everything into context. He described that man to the T. That's exactly the vibe I got from watching him in that little conference he did the next day.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. I mean, he probably, not probably, he didn't understand the severity of what was going on and how much backlash he would get for not being as professionally prepared to undergo a lot of public scrutiny. And he probably didn't believe that the whole internet would hold him to his every single word.
Yeah. I mean, I would understand if a lame person, like regular person, would not automatically assume this is a serious, worst case scenario or this being serious. But he's law enforcement. He should take every case, like every situation, as a serious situation, not make a joke of it.
And I guess now the joke's on him, right? Because 300 people from Pima County Sheriff have voted no confidence in him. That kind of tells you a lot about, the leadership that you've had. And I don't know how long he's been a sheriff, or at least the head of the Pima County Sheriff. Do you guys know how long he's been the head of it? Poetically speaking, how's it going? Welcome.
I don't know. Was he voted? Like, that's a position you vote for, right?
Yeah. No, it's absolutely a position that they get voted in. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, that he still has about 3 more years left before his position's up for election. So I think, I don't know if the goal is for him to kind of just kind of go into an early retirement, or if there's a way that they can remove him.
I mean, I'm sure that there is, but I doubt that they'll do that. They'll probably just let the voters, vote him out the next time.
What do you think he's going to do? Do you think that he's going to be forced into an early retirement, or do you think he's just going to sit here and play it all out, whether he loses?
if we end up finding her and it turns out to be that there was a misstep that he could have prevented or that he took, then he's gonna retire early. I think. If
Or do you
something
think
points to
that,
him once she's found, yeah, that's what all those policemen do.
oh yeah,
So that they don't get their retirement taken away.
they're gonna have their internal investigation go
Yeah.
crazy. And
It's time for me to retire now. Oh, please.
in the interview with Savannah too, not once do you hear her say law enforcement, right? She uses the term investigators, and then she says the what does she say? The media company that helped them retain like the video, or the camera software company.
I think that once once the family wasn't getting much information from the local law enforcement, I think they then worked with the FBI, and that's who they took the advice from. Because I think for Ransom, that's who you would want to seek the advice from. I think. I don't even think she's in contact with local law enforcement anymore, because they've obviously proven not to be equipped for this.
So here, let me pull up
Can
this.
you hear me?
Yes. Who's that?
Okay, you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Welcome to Boss Bish.
Well, I've been talking, but nobody heard me.
No, I think you were muted.
Now we can hear you.
Loud and clear.
Am I talking too loud?
No, I just said nice
Okay.
and clear.
Okay. No, I've been talking. I unmuted my mic and I was like saying stuff, but nobody was saying anything back.
Oh, well, now we can hear you. How's it going? How are you feeling?
Okay. My blood sugar's fine now. I don't know why it went low. Why do you think I asked you for?
I don't know. I don't have enough information as to why, and I can't diagnose you.
Yes, you can. I gave you permission.
No. My scope of practice doesn't allow me to diagnose. But what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts on what part?
On this case.
What are we talking about?
On everything? I don't know. I have more questions than answers.
Do you think it was professionals or the family or just a random scammer?
I think it was who came to the door?
No, whoever took her.
I think it was professional.
I think so too.
Yeah, definitely could have been professionals. I mean, we still haven't found him, so he's done 54 days of hiding.
I just can't believe it's 54 days now and they have not found her.
Yep.
But I mean, look at these serial killers who go on for decades, sometimes without being found. They know what they're doing till the moment they, step in it.
That's true. With all the technology and Ring cameras, and they even took a camera off of the, what was it? That side house. They climbed up top. What did that show? Did it show anything?
When they climbed
They
up,
never disclosed it. I think it was on top of her house.
Yeah. Did it show anything? Or I don't think they're telling us everything, but
for sure they're not.
I just don't think I would had hope that they'd find her alive, but I don't think so anymore.
I had hopes,
unfortunately.
But as time went by, it dwindled.
Yeah, no, that's what it did with me. I kept hoping they'd find her. And I did think one of the ransom notes was the actual person but it got so messed up with TMZ, we got these ransom notes, and this person will tell brought up the Mexico, and I just think it got all mixed up. But
I think the first note they got was legit, and the ones
I think that too. No, I think that too. If it was my mom and I had the money, I would have just gave the Bitcoin. I mean, to be honest, like, I know she wanted proof of life, but like, you only have one mom.
But then that doesn't guarantee you that I mean, there's negotiation that goes on when for a ransom. You have to see proof of life. You're not just going to shell out, all this money just because you have it. Doesn't mean you're going to just willy nilly, throw it out there without knowing who you're giving it to. What if it was a scammer that really doesn't have her mother, which ended up being that second doofus that got caught?
Yeah, that Derek.
That's true, but also that would really test, authorities' ability to trace where the actual money went to. You know what I mean? And there would be ways to recover that.
Well, no, he didn't get caught because of the tracing. He got caught because he used his own information.
Yeah.
While reaching out, and that's how I think the FBI determined that the first note was legitimate. And then, of course, they're not going to advise you to pay, but then they left it to the family. Now, this is legitimate. Do what you want with it. And that's when I think she felt compelled to say, we're willing to pay. When that's how she said, now we're taking it seriously. That's when she got confirmation it was legitimate.
And what about? So, let's see. We have Luke Daly, right? Luke Daly was also apprehended or detained, brought in for questioning, and so was what was the other guy's name?
Carlos
Palazuelos. He was also questioned too. What type of evidence do you think that they collected to serve that search warrant?
Well, one of them made a delivery to the house, right? Was like a Amazon driver or something.
It hasn't been confirmed, but I mean, there's speculation that he may have been in the area delivering packages, which that's where
that's why I think they questioned him. It makes sense. They're questioning everybody who was in that area, and there's not that many people because, as you can see, that area is big. So it's not like a neighborhood where you have a neighbor to your left, to your right, across the street. No, these properties are stretched apart real far. So not many people will be going down her street per se. Her house, or maybe one other's probably the only one on that street.
Yep.
So that would make sense for him. The other guy, I heard that it was like somebody called in a tip.
That's what I think. Somebody called in a tip.
That's what I had heard. Somebody called in a tip and it was fake. It ended up not doing nothing for it. Because the poor guy got dragged out of the house. And his poor mother.
I mean, poor mothers for the both of them, right?
Yeah.
Mother-in-law. Let me see.
But wasn't there like a shooting or something? Whatever happened to that? Wasn't there like a guy that shot himself, or was that fake?
I think that
happened the same night, right?
That's what they were saying, and they kept saying Dolly seen it or something happened, and he was on stream, but I don't watch him, so I heard somebody got shot too the same night.
Yeah. I think that it turned out to be fake, I believe.
Or I think it may have just been it was like a hit and run or something. Deborah Day also brings up a good point too, right? She said the reason the detectives only have 3 to 4 years of experience is because the sheriff sent all the experienced detectives out to other precincts because he is an egotistical. Oh wait, that's not the. There you go. That's the sound effect I wanted to use. He's an egotistical. It was said today. Actually, yeah. So all the detectives who work in like I don't know whatever is it robbery and homicide only have 3 to 4 years of experience, and all the ones who do have experience, they were either let go or they were moved to different counties. Yeah, I remember hearing that yesterday too. So thank you for that.
And also, people are your experience to the level of what you've gone through, right? That's how you get experience based on the cases that you do treat and whatever you go through. If crime is not prevalent in this area and there's not much homicides going on, there's not much experience that the detectives are gonna get.
Yeah, but I think some of the veterans that they did have on the force were veterans who had 20, 30 years of experience. And so,
And
you
what
know,
did they do wrong?
it's not anything that they did wrong. It was a decision that Nanos made to reduce the workforce, or I don't know, but he just decided to just get rid of them. But why get rid of all your well tenured detectives?
I know that's odd.
No,
And
that's what
this was during the investigation or before?
I think it was maybe leading up to it. That's why they didn't have that many experienced detectives. He had sent them out of there. He is under investigation for it, says Deborah. Thank you for that.
Oh my God, can you imagine if he's behind all this? That would be scandalous.
He's got an ego. He definitely does, right? You guys remember that video that we played a couple lives ago where he has a few choice words for the FBI, and now he's working side by side with all of them. But I found this article on KJZZ Phoenix, I guess is a radio station, that says Pima County Sheriff Nanos facing Guthrie criticism, Board of Supervisors, and a recall effort. Says it has now been weeks without any meaningful public updates on the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Arizona journalist and Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie has been missing for 53 days. The lack of progress on the investigation has forced Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos into a white-hot spot. His team of investigation has faced withering criticism from local outlets all the way to national tabloids like the New York Post, which recently published photos of Nanos leaving the gym, seeming to suggest he was spending valuable time away from the case. The coverage reflects a growing conversation about whether Nanos is up to the task, not just finding Nancy Guthrie, but of serving as a sheriff in general. Tucson Agenda reporter Joe Ferguson has been covering the scrutiny of Sheriff Nanos, and he joined the show. God, this is a
I don't fault him. I don't fault him for that. I mean, at the end of the day, life does go on. He does need to carry on with his life, and he has detectives that handle the case. He's not there doing the investigation himself. He's there to oversee everybody else. So I don't find an issue with that.
Heather says it's not true. Hold on, I missed it. Is it the whole downsizing of the department, Heather? Is that what you're referring to as not being true?
I was under the impression that he downsized when there was not much progress going on, the amount of detectives working the case began to lessen because other things do continue.
Yeah, I think they went
that's
from like
normal.
400 detectives all the way down to only like a handful. Let me see. He's a detective, so he spoke his mind. He said 20 plus years in kidnapping. Now, Nanos hasn't been.
Another thing that I'm torn with is they say that there's not much progress going on, but if you're looking at it to be fair, if there's not much evidence, what do you want the police to do? I mean, the police are only successful because of the evidence they're able to gather. And if this person was able to evade being seen he did a good job doing this. I mean, law enforcement can't, go finding stuff that's just not there. So I'm not defending him, but
No.
What else could he do? I mean, what else could they do?
Heather clarified for us. She said the department was downsized. That wasn't because he wanted to downsize. It was budget. There you go. I do remember hearing yesterday that it was due to budgeting. I mean, I don't know. Pima County doesn't seem like a really huge county, but I mean, with the lack of, not a lack, but with the low rate of, I don't know how low the crime rates are, but they're definitely not as high as like Los Angeles. So, I mean, I can understand budget cuts, right? I mean, that's what's going to do it. And the first people you're going to cut are the ones who have the most experience because you pay them the most money, right? But I mean, it doesn't help the department though if you don't have strong detectives. Not saying that the ones with 3 to 4 years of experience are not strong, but also, what makes a good detective is the experience they have on the job.
And maybe there's not that much of these type of cases around. I mean, that's not very common in most areas. I don't think.
No, there isn't. And I remember way back when this happened, somebody on Brian Enton was saying like in Pima County they get something like this maybe like, I don't know, maybe 4 to 5 times out of the year when the FBI deals with this stuff on a daily basis. Heather said the investigation has been done hand in hand with the FBI and homicide detectives since day 2. Everything is coordinated, and he's not doing it by himself. And I believe you, Heather, when you say that.
Yeah, you should come up, Heather.
Come on up, Heather. You want to join?
Come on, everybody.
Heather. You know what I also found strange is like at the beginning of this, a lot of people were commenting about the fact that they were asking for money via Bitcoin, and I don't think people understand how prevalent that is. Like it happens a lot. We just don't hear from it. There's a lot of big companies, financial institutions that are held for ransom using Bitcoin, and the FBI advises them not to pay. But because they value the client's information, they pay it. Banks do this a lot. And even other companies that have, a valuable client information, they're hacked more often than you think. We just don't hear about it. And the way that they're held for ransom with that information is through Bitcoin. That's why they can track it.
Oh, I can guarantee you that it happens, right? Because there's a hospital out here in Los Angeles called Hollywood Presbyterian, and their system got hacked and it was held for ransom. And obviously the feds were involved, and basically they held up the hospital for they held them up for ransom, and they held them up for ransom for only $17,000 in Bitcoin. And guess what? Guess who won?
The ransomers.
The people who held ransom, right? They got paid out, and they received $17,000 because it was more important to gain control of all the medical records and everything that they held than to have all of that leak. Because if they wouldn't have paid that $17,000, I guarantee you that hospital wouldn't have been around today. And that hospital is still up and running now. I have a good friend who's
and I assure you, the ransomers were never caught. That's because those who know what they're doing know that it's practically impossible to trace back Bitcoin.
Keep in mind, this was 10 years ago, back in 2016 too. So whatever technology that we have now, we definitely didn't have back then.
But just like technology, advances, so do hackers in the way that they're able to hide themselves.
Mm-hmm. All right, Heather, we won't force you to come up now, but one day we're going to have you and Chloe on the show. And Chloe, don't think I forgot. We're going to have the Chloe and Flo show.
Oh, do you know how, have you guys ever received a letter in the mail, that for you to join a class action lawsuit because your information was compromised with some company at some point in time? Do you guys ever receive those in the mail?
All the time, yeah.
That is what happens. They are hacked and they are held for ransom, and that's how the information becomes compromised. Not all of them, but some of those notices that you get, that is how that information became compromised through a hacker.
Yeah.
It's not like somebody picked up a file in a room in an office and then ran with it. No, it's their security systems were compromised by hackers and probably held for ransom.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like ransoms happen a lot more often than we think. Some of them are just not publicized and also not involved in high profile cases like the one we're watching today, right?
They're just not sending the emails to TMZ.
True. All right, you guys. Well, it's almost 11 o'clock here. We've been on for almost 3 hours. Is there any last things that you guys would like to share before we end up calling it a night?
No, this has been fun. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I finally figured out how to do it. So.
And the boss bitch, you need to get some rest. Somebody needs to take your phone away. Somebody needs to take your phone away because you've been gifting memberships and super chats all night.
Because I love your channel, though.
I appreciate
memberships
for your support. Yes, it was raining memberships. We're gonna give you a few.
And I was making sure that you got 10 goals so that you can make merch or somebody else can, and we can start buying it.
Shout out to the boss bitch for being one of our biggest supporters here on the channel. So Abraham, thank you so much. I appreciate you for joining the show. Boss bitch, thank you so much for joining the panel. I'm gonna go ahead
Thank
and
you for having me on.
Of course. The boss bitch, make sure you get some rest, go to sleep, make sure that you recover 100% because what you went through today is definitely a terrifying thing. So you got to make sure that you recover. All righty, you guys. Let me hold on. All right, you guys, I'm going to bring this one back up really quick, but I am going to be calling it a night. Thank you guys so much for joining the show. We have 28 starred messages, and I think this is all just going to be the boss bitch sponsored show. So we're going to drop another horn for her for her $20 super sticker, 5 gifted memberships, her $5 super chat, another $5 super chat, another $5 super chat from the boss bitch, 5 gifted memberships from the boss bitch, $2 super chat, another $5 super chat, another $5 super chat, another one, another one, another one, another one, another one. I don't even know how many super chats that was from the boss bitch, but thank you again. Everybody who was gifted a membership from the boss bitch or myself, from Sydney, Tara, D Lucky was a member, and then Coca Mom gifted 5 memberships today too. So if you guys were gifted a membership, please make sure you thank them in the chat. You guys, this is Filling in the Gaps. My name is Flojo, and I do thank you guys for being with us. Again, if you guys are on Discord and you guys are new members, make sure you guys check out the community wall. I will post the link so then that way you guys can join the Discord where the conversation continues. That's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys later. Peace.